For the upcoming right-hander, brake 30 meters later and ease off the pressure.
It is always a special day when we get to welcome a new series to the fold, and especially more so when it's an endurance series. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Australia and to the FTR Events trophi.ai Endurance Series. My name is Little Rambo, bringing you all of racing action here tonight alongside Austin Edstrom with Derek Watson Fettuccini, bringing you the action for the back half of this race as well. Austin, it's a new series, and how about this, at a new track to boot. We are in Australia at the Ben Motorsports Park, not at the longer 4+ mile road course with over 30 turns. We are at the international layout, still sporting, though, a pretty sizable lane with 18 turns for 5 classes to contend with here this afternoon.
Yeah, you said it. 18 turns, 5 classes, and a whole ridiculous amount of drivers. We've got a ton of cars, a ton of teams registered for this event here today, a ton of different classes getting ready to give it a go here at the Bend. And man, just looking at the track map of this map gets me a little bit more excited, a little bit more ready for this race. I mean, just looks like a extremely challenging road course here in Australia. I can't wait to get this one underway.
Home, of course, to the V8 supercars that run here on an annual basis. This racetrack, one of the newest facilities in Australian motorsports, opening its doors in just 2018, less than a decade ago. And right now, you've got 53 cars that have been trying to qualify here this afternoon. Out of those 57 cars, out of the 53 cars, 7 of those were touring cars, and of course you had a good sizable GT4 field, currently sitting 28th to 45th overall, and right now 27 GT3 cars are out there trying to qualify. GT3 and GT4 are both split into Pro and Am categories. They will be running in overall championships that will be scored together, but they will also be scored in individual championships as well. So important to keep eyes on all fields here this afternoon. We've got just 2 minutes left here in qualifying. You see a healthy handful of those GT3 cars coming around through the final couple of corners now. Of course, the big kicker on this one, right, with there being no rain to disrupt proceedings here this afternoon, or at least no anticipated rain to disrupt proceedings, I think the real question that drivers are going to have to ask themselves, right, will there be a safety car, a full course yellow period here this afternoon? It's always a distinct possibility when you get a field this big, and I'm going to be honest, while 18 turns and over 2 miles seems like a long distance, you know, you actually look to put 53 cars around there, that track fills up quickly.
Yeah, 53 cars out on the racetrack. Like you said, decent length in the course, but, you know, we put 53 out there, get a safety car going. You got to get the whole field caught back up, kind of do the pit stop sequence, and then everybody catch back up again. So it could take a little bit of time if we do have that safety car come out at some point tonight. And honestly, with as many cars as we have in here today, I'd be a little surprised if we don't have it, honestly, especially on the initial start here. Very, very high chance that, you know, we hit that incident limit count that we need within a certain amount of time to get the yellow flag to come out. So we'll just have to wait and see how careful, I guess, everybody is at the start of this race, because I really do think that yeah, this track is relatively narrow. A lot of turns on this on this circuit. I could just really see us coming down to turn 1 in multiple different classes and having some big mayhem on the first lap that could potentially cause a yellow flag.
And some breaking news coming in just a few seconds ago, Austin. We already have our first penalty here of the season, and it is going to be coming out from Mikko Heikkinen in the Sim Racing Grid Academy. It is a 5-second time penalty for a qualifying incident. That will have to be served at the first pit stop here this afternoon. So unfortunate start already for some drivers in this championship, but qualified about to draw to a close here this afternoon. You've had a quick look over some of those qualifying times, and well, it's time to see who's going to be starting where here at the at the start of a 6-hour-long marathon here this afternoon. So as the qualifying session is going to get set to draw to a close, of course, still waiting on the last few drivers to come across the line. Austin, your thoughts quickly here. Do you reckon we're going to get some of that early race melee that some of these Australian tracks are known for?
I'd be surprised if we didn't, to be honest with you. With 53 cars out on the racetrack, you said it, 27 in the GT3 class. The GT4 is almost as packed as well. I'd be shocked if we don't get some early race mayhem. I think that these guys are going to be gunning for the as many spots off the beginning as possible. You want to set yourself up good for the entirety of the race. Obviously, 6 hours, you want to take it a little bit more careful, but I don't know. I think that first race of the season, you kind of got those jitters. You got that bug in you that you just got to go and get every spot. I think we're going to see some mayhem in the first couple laps.
It would not surprise me as the field is continuing to work their way through the back portions of the qualifying session. Here comes our RPM Racing Black with Richard Cawthron behind the wheel, looking to come across the finish line. RPM showed a lot of strength in the GT Super Cup. They secured 1 and 2 in that race. They are currently 1 and 2 on the qualifying sheets as well, so they're looking to kick off another good run here as well. Meanwhile, Empire Racing Cookie Dough, the only other car we're waiting on to finish up qualifying here.
Yeah, obviously we've gotten to the end of that qualifying timer, but kind of resets itself once it gets to the end, letting everybody finish their laps that they're currently on. Just one car still out on the racetrack, looking to improve that qualifying time right before we get gridded up and get this thing ready. Didn't see any change on my lap time charts. I don't think that they ended up changing anything, but nonetheless, I think that's going to be the end of qualifying in a matter of seconds, and then we're going to be able to pull up that grid and get this thing going.
Well, we'll get the chance to take a rundown now on how things are going to be looking like over the next little while. It's going to be an extremely hard-fought race throughout the entirety of the afternoon. And to kick things off, we'll run down your GT3 Pro field. It is Charlie Lund-Nielsen for RPM Racing Red, started on pole position alongside Richard Cawthron for RPM Racing Black. Just behind them on row number 2, it's going to be Luciano Whitvogt for Willowwood Racing and Samantha Tan Racing alongside Jonathan Lay for Stage 1 Racing. In 5th and 6th, it's Adam Cox for Sim Party Racing Delta alongside Ryan Huff for SRM Motorsports. From there, it's going to be the likes of Mark Reynolds for Sim Racing Grid Phantom alongside Mike Van Ruyten for Sim Party Racing Bravo. Top 10 then going to be closed on out by these drivers further down the field here, as it's going to be Alex King alongside Ives Van Sand. And then 11th and 12th, that's Alexander Bueller alongside Jake Wybor. Moving down to the 13th and 14th spots of the grid, Aubrey Kundal going to bring up against Martin Deckens for Pegasus Sim Racing. And then, of course, Antonio Alvarez for Hugh Jasgold alongside Justin Niger for Project Synced Racing Team. 17th place, closing out the GT3 Pro field, it'll be Rachel Concali for Prismatic Motorsports Athena. And Austin, you've got the GT3 Am field.
Yep, starting at the front of that field, we got Simon Music starting in the number 126 up at the front of the field. Chris Van Gut in the 177, starting on his outside in 2nd place. Jumping back to row number 2, David Troxar for Sim Party Racing Omega in the 142. Ron Wolf starting on his outside for Hugh Jass Yellow in the 137. Starting in row number 3, Roy Matson, 183. Aston Martin starting on his outside for Prismatic Motorsports Minerva in the 128. And then back to row number 4, starting at 7th, Stephen Faze with Stefan Le Guin on his outside in 8th place. And back to row number 5, Daniel R. Hall in the 117, Brian Fratien in the 185.
That closes up the GT3 AM field. We'll move back to the GT4 field. We'll start it off with the pros. It's Kieran Sharp for TSRC Esports alongside Don Papels for SimRace Sweden Esports. From there, on the second row, it's Pablo Cabrera for Enosis Esports GT4 alongside Ken Kopelin for The Wrong Stuff. Moving back to row 3, it's Ricardo Mikołowski in the Project Sig Racing Team XLSX machine alongside Akram Zanoon for the Cardin Racing Aston Martin. Fourth row then, it's going to be Bart Dolphin for SimRace Sweden Esports Red alongside Ryan Chevalier for Treehouse Racing in their Mercedes. Top 10 going to be closed out by George Gruber for Torque Freak Racing TeamSpeak alongside Justin Hall in Hugh Jazz White. That'll bring up then Almeida Racing Academy. This car was banned from qualifying, registered with the wrong car number. They're started for the tail of the GT3 4 Pros.
Going back to the AM class for the GT4s, Lorenz de Vlieger gets the pole there for the 388 Eagle Speed Academy Esports S. Christopher Flamian, Chris Flams on the outside, 373 for Hugh Jazz Black. On the inside of row number 2, Denny Dunn in the 337, Julian Kerses on the outside in the 343. Inside of row number 3, Brett Aki in the 333, Marion Molker on the outside there in 6th place in the 340. To the inside, P7, Chris Soffer on the outside, Mikko Heikkinen after the issue in qualifying starting in 8th.
And that'll bring it up for the TCR field here this afternoon. 7 cars on offer. David Johansson starts it off for Sim Racing Great Phoenix alongside Michael Polasek for WSR Esports. From there, row 2, Paul Sebastian Hubler alongside John Combs for Fun Wheel Drive. Row 3, bring up Cass Brinkhausen, apologies if I butcher that name, for the Project Racing Team .bat machine alongside Thomas Renders for the .sql machine. And then, of course, tail of the field, it's going to be Georgie Mackey for the Prismatic Motorsports Solus, rounding out a 53-car field here this afternoon. So the pack is set. We are ready to rumble out this afternoon.
Yeah, iRacing pace car leading these guys all the way around the racetrack, getting ready to get this 6-hour event kicked off, and I'm on the edge of my seat. I am ready to get this one going. I can't wait to get the race started. Obviously, a little strange with 5 classes, right? A lot of different race cars, a lot of different classes, a lot of different points championships that all these guys are going for. The only thing that you really need to know, though, and the only thing that these drivers need to know is how to finish as high as possible in this race. Obviously, the higher you finish, the more points you get for every single championship that you're contending in with the different classes between Pro and the AM series in each of these top 2 classes as well. Just a lot to keep track of through the course of the season for the series, and I'm looking forward to getting it started.
Field going to work their way into turn numbers 3 and 4, and we are ready to see who is going to be starting where here this afternoon as the GT3 Pro field working their way to the final series of corners. A good number of Fords up on the point, right? 3 Mustangs looking to take us off to the green flag, so some American muscle will be the first few drivers to take us out. They enter the formation zone. Field will now double up. We are happy you are joining us for racing action here for the FTR Events trophi.ai Endurance Series for Season 7 of competition. The field going to work their way into the final corner. Turn 18. It's in the hands of RPM Racing Red. They'll lead us down the pit straightaway, and it's going to be time to get the party started. A long hold of the field, waiting for the drop of the green flag. It's go, go, go! Fanning out already. 3, looking for 4 wide. Down the front straightaway. RPM getting away well with the head of the field. Johnny Nilsson breaking away with this one as they are fanning out down the entire pack into turn number 1. Watch for the stack-ups here on the apex. 1 car gets hopped up. 1 car going around is one of the McLarens that gets spun at the tail of the field. Otherwise, we are through the first couple of corners clean.
Yeah, looked like we dodged any major type of contact for your first class. Up second, the GT4s coming across the line, getting ready to get their 6 hours kicked off here from the bend, taking their sweet time coming down to the start-finish line. The TSRC driver of Kieran Sharp leading us down across the start-finish line. Much slower than the GT3s. These GT4 cars taking a lot longer to get up to that max speed down the front straightaway, down into turn number 1, side by side, just about for the race lead. But it's going to be Kieran Sharp down into turn number 1 who gets the whole shot and gets that early lead.
Couple of collisions further back, but mostly keeping it clean. Now the TCR field will be the ones to jump down to turn number 1 next.
Yep, Sim Racing Red Phoenix leading them down. A little bit of a block down to the inside, almost contact between second and third. Coming down into turn number 1. Sebastian Hub in the middle, trying to make the move, stick around the outside. Now he drove it in deeper than the car on the outside, and now he's got the inside for this left-handed kink. Still side by side for the front 2 leaders in the TCR class. Sebastian Hub still around the outside trying to get this spot. He's got the quarter panel, but I don't think that he's going to have the momentum. He's going to try to go down to the right side. Now of his competitor of David Johansson, not going to be able to do it. Tight battle at the front of the field though for the TCRs. Here comes the move. David Johansson, nothing he can do about it. Sebastian Hub to the inside. He's got the lead side by side again between the two. Johansson not willing to give it up.
Quite a few fights going on for some of the class leaders, including in the GT4 Pros. You just saw a change for position up here as well, as the team gets set to drive or back down in the round and towards the back portions here of the racetrack. Still, David Johansson trying to fend off fiercely forward Gray, and it looks like he may have finally managed to securely do so. RPM Racing Black, meanwhile, has led lap number 1 to green. We've had quite the incident towards the tail end of the field. Take a look as Sim Party Racing Echo already has a meatball flag, and they could very well be down and out of this race as a result of that pretty hefty whack through turn 1, ripping the whole front bumper off.
And then obviously another spin further up the field there, pretty heavy contact into the right rear of another car. One car spinning off here on the exit, just 4 wheels into the grass, nothing too crazy there, not really anything to write home about. Able to get back on the track, losing a ton of spots though, ton of time. Not ever good to do that 3 minutes into the race, having to go to the back of the pack. I'd rather do that than have damage though, especially in a 6-hour race, but you just hate to put yourself behind so early.
Quite a few drivers still in some tight battles in the GT3 field, but it's a difficult track to pass at for these higher powered race cars, right? And for the GT4s, they're not having too much problems getting side by side. We already saw some pretty hefty battles here for the GT4 Pro leaders, with Sim Race Weighted Esports fielding Don Papels at the top of the board, trying to fend off Kieran Sharp and the Aston Martin just behind. And so far, a battle looking like it's been relatively sorty. Here's a bit of a scrap here. This is for second place. Sorry, no, this is for this is for 4th place. There you go. In your GT4 AM field, further behind with Sim Party Racing, along with Sunday Drivers just behind. That's Chris Silver and Denny Dunn that battle it out amongst the two of them. And then, of course, you've also got Fiercely Racing, Sim Racing Grid here at the top end of the field.
Nice little 5-car battle. Kind of none of these guys really getting away from each other. All stacked up under the leader of the class. Pretty hectic first couple laps. Just a couple little battles between a few cars, kind of coming to blows, giving us a little bit to talk about in the early going. Only 4 minutes in, but ultimately a lot of these guys just trying to find their rhythm, right? Not trying to make any big, ridiculous, crazy moves. Making sure that they, get themselves up to their peak performance, get into that rhythm, kind of just set yourself up through the beginning part of this race, right? You don't want to, like I said earlier, you don't want to set yourself up to be so far behind right off the beginning of this race. 6 hours long. Just keep yourself in contention. Keep it where you can see the leader. And as long as you can see the leader, you've got a chance to win this thing by the end of it. So that's really what a lot of these guys are kind of thinking right now. Just make sure they keep their car clean and, within racing distance of the race leader.
Battle for 3rd here, coming down to the turn number 1 in GT4 AM as Sim Party Racing Echo ducks around their Tango teammates here. The sister cars going at it. Denny Dunn takes out the 3rd place spot from Miriam Molker through the opening couple of corners. So a pretty good drive there from the number 337. He makes that drive up and around, and now a battle once again for the TCR lead. Ultimate at turn number 1, fiercely forward Gray, trying to go down the inside of Sim Racing Grid Phoenix. David Johansson under fire from Sebastian Hove.
Yeah, a little bit of contact there into turn 1. Hove really sent it down into the corner, and he's going to be able to take this position after a handful of corners through sector 1. Sebastian Hove able to stay in that slipstream lap after lap, and then finally pounce coming down into turn one this past time, but Johansson, he's got that draft now as long as he stays close enough. It looks like these TCRs are a little bit more draft heavy, right? It looks like you're able to kind of stick with the cars in front of you just off of the draft. In the corners, you just got to stay close enough. And, you know, the top 5 of these cars still nose to tail, tucked under a blanket from each other. It just seems like the draft are keeping these guys tucked up with each other a little bit more than the other 4 classes.
Rode on board there with David Johansson for a few corners as he tries to chase back down Sebastian. He's also got Michael Polasek right behind him that he's got to keep tabs on as well, right? That is not a driver that you want to underestimate right behind him. And look at what's right behind. There are the GT3 and overall race leaders already starting to cut their way through traffic, and we're not even at the end of lap number 4.
Yeah, this is where the endurance racing really starts to get hairy. Obviously, these guys in the main classes coming up, passing a ton of these slower cars. They just got to get out of the way, right? You got to be as predictable as possible. Let the faster cars work themselves around you. Just be as predictable as possible for these cars coming through. Again, what I was saying earlier, again, kind of goes into play. You don't want to give yourself you know, an off track or get knocked off by one of these faster cars and send yourself down the running order early on, give yourself a hole to work yourself out of. You much rather just let these faster cars go, not really play many games with them. Sebastian Huff here, kind of playing games, right, with the draft, trying to break the draft down the front straightaway as some of the faster cars coming through. A little bit of a hairy moment there with the car behind. But the GT3's continuing to come through as Huff might get outbraked here. Johansson wanted the race lead back at the same time as that GT3 was coming through.
Boy, nearly forced them 3 wide into turn number 1. That would have been a real dicey move to make. And I thought for sure this battle might be split up as the GT3s fought their way through, but so far, no, nothing that's been keeping these guys fully separated. Back behind, here's one of the GT3 AM cars, Bugatti Motorsports. He's fighting with a bunch of pro cars all around him. The 2 in front and the 2 behind that number 146 Porsche are all pro cars, and you see him ducking out of the way, letting those pro guys through because he knows he's got a 2-second gap. Back to Aspen Martin for Prismatic Motorsports Minerva, so he's got some room to work with.
It's a little weird off the fact that, right, you said in the pace laps that are in the opening to the show tonight that obviously you're competing in multiple different championships. You can be in the GT4 AM class but still be competing in the you know, the universal GT4 standings, and then you're also competing just in your GT4 AM. So it's a little weird. You can let guys go in your same class if you're really just focused about that, you know, that AM championship, if you're one of the AM drivers. But I don't know, if I was one of those AM drivers out there, I'd be wanting to keep the pro guys back as well, kind of prove that I belong in that higher class. So I don't know, kind of a weird scenario for some of the teams to be in, having so many different championships to go after. But that's just kind of the a little bit of the appeal of endurance racing, right? We got so many different things that we can follow through the course of this season. It'll be interesting to kind of keep track, you know, over the course of these races, who's actually going to be competing for all those different championships that we have on offer for us this season.
Fastest lap reset once again by Charlie Lund-Nielsen. Meanwhile, battle for third here in the GT4 Pro and Osis Esports GT4, trying to fend off the wrong stuff of Ken Coppelin. Just a little ways behind him. So, well, 2 Mercedes looking to go at it, but otherwise a lot of the GT4 starting to drop back, and here comes Bugatti Motorsports with Stefan Le Guin down to pit road pretty early on.
I'm surprised to see somebody down 10 minutes in. This makes me think that there's something amiss on that car. Like we've got some damage, got some type of issue that we didn't catch on our broadcast right whenever it happened. But you know, 10 minutes in, that's much too early to be taking a scheduled pit stop. Man, this is a Hornet's Nest a little bit further back here. A lot of different classes all trying to intermingle with each other and get through and get out of each other's way at the same time.
This is specifically right now the battle for second place that is currently breaking apart in TCR. You can see these guys having a bit of a struggle fest on trying to keep near each other. The guys that just fought their way through, that was for 6th place in GT3 Pro. Pegasus Racing and Flaming Ford Skin Racing going at it. Alex Marsh King down the inside of Van Sanden. And King going to make his way up. Of course, Alex King races frequently in the Beer League over on Wednesday night. So good to see quite a bit of the Beer League crowd actually jumping over to the endurance scene.
I like to see it because I don't get to call the Beer League anymore. So I get to call a couple of, you know, the old friends that we've we've made on the beer league over the course of the last couple of years. So that's kind of cool to get to call those guys again. I'm excited to see if any of them give us something to talk about through the course of tonight's race. None of them really challenging at the moment for any of their class leads, but I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a handful of them really giving it a go towards the end of this thing.
Just saw Eagle Speed Academy Esports get around Sim Racing Grid Academy as Lorenz de Vleger breaks around Mikko Heikkinen. That was for 6th place in the GT4 Pro category. So a bit of the GT4 fights started to get a little bit closer here as the GT3s worked their way through. That's Sim Party Racing Tango and Sunday Drivers fighting for 4th and 5th. Center of your screens right now in the midst of GT4 Pro. Sim Party Racing Echo sit rep on their trip down pit road. They have just cleared the meatball flag. We'll see if they come back out onto the racetrack or if they're done for the day.
And I had said none of the beer league runners were competing for their class leads. Actually, Huge Ass Black with Chris Flams behind the wheel right now, leading that GT4 AM category. So Chris doing a good job there for Huge Ass, and also they're 5th overall in the GT4s. So obviously leading the AM, but also beating quite a bit of the pros here in the GT4s in the early going for Chris Flams. What a job from Flams, doing really, really well here early.
Battle picking up here. This is for 2nd and TCR, and you see them break it out just a little bit here as the two of them look set to battle it out with one another. I thought for a moment David Johansson might go around, but of course these cars being front-wheel drive, and you get loose, mash the throttle pedal, 8 out of 10 times that tends to do the trick and straighten you up just fine. But he's got quite the fight with Micah Polasek just behind him, and of course we talked a little about in the GT3 Pros about how Pegasus Sim Racing's under fire from Huge Ass Blue of Alexander Bueller. Well, Mike Van Ruyten has now entered the fray as well in this battle here for 8th place in the GT3 Pros. And it's partially because they're being held up quite a bit by Simon Music from Sim Racing Grid Gold, who leads the GT3 Ams just in front of them in the Lamborghini.
We're completely intermixed at this point, right? All the different classes completely interchangeable with the others going down the front straightaway. Just when we got that long front straightaway shot, just seeing the long line of cars, all different classes coming through the front straightaway, all mixed amongst each other. It's just quite a sight to see in the early going, only 15 minutes in, seeing everybody, racing so hard. Big battle here coming through the pack. A couple cars just trying to get through as fast as possible. All these guys just trying to find whatever little bit of racetrack they can as they're working through traffic. Obviously, that was a pro driver going around the AM driver in the GT3, but obviously those guys still fighting for points in one of the championships. And switching over to another battle coming in the last corner here. This is the battle for the race lead. Sorry, not the last corner. Last couple corners, but this is the battle for the race lead in the GT3 Pros. RPM Racing Red trying to hang on, but Luciano Whitvet really wants this race lead.
And understandably so, right? Whitvote has been good so far all race long. He's been really trying to hound RPM Racing Red. He has broken up the RPM 1-2. Black so far has not been able to chase down their sister car in red, and now looking to race leader being held up by some GT4 traffic out of the final quarter. This could be the chance. Coming down to turn number 1. Is he going to be close enough? He's closing pretty quickly here. I don't think he'll close fast enough, though, to make that proper look into turn 1. And everybody is a big dive bomb to the inside for the overall race lead. Is this going to be a lead change? RPM Racing Red still fighting this one out around the outside of 1, turns the inside of 2, back to the outside of 3. Charlie Lund Nielsen still fending off the top spot runners. And Luciano Whitvote not letting this one down easily. 3 wide with lap traffic in the GT4s.
And here's going to be a pick just about, actually, RPM Racing Red giving them plenty of room to work around in the early going. Still side by side, this battle for the race lead, the overall lead, will not go away. Whitbet wants this race lead, and he wants it right now. But man, that RPM Racing Red, number 1, putting on a hell of a show up here. Charlie Lund not willing to give that race lead away.
A few penalties coming in as well over the last little while. We'll talk about those in just a moment. And around goes one of the GT4s. Right at the tail of the field. That is going to be Sim Party Racing Tango in GT4M. Dropped to the rear of the field after contact with one of the GT3 runners, it looked like, in the midst of that.
Super frustrating to lose all that time. Didn't look like they had done anything wrong. Obviously, we swapped to that camera right as the contact was made, but it looked as though they just kind of got drove over there through the center of that corner. A little bit of contact to the left rear, and big penalty up at the top of the screen. Jack Wyborn, 10-second time penalty.
That's not the worst one yet, though, as the 299 of Almeida, well, they've been bitten big time in the midst of all of this as well. So there's been quite a few penalties that are starting to come down throughout the course of this race, and we'll again talk about some of those as we get the chance, but this battle for the overall lead is not going away.
I think Luciano is just a little bit quicker than Charlie at this stage of the race. Obviously all over the back bumper now. Like you said, he had split the RPM Racing drivers a handful of laps ago. Was able to get up to the back bumper of your race leader here. So obviously, Luciano's got that better pace as we see the 20-second time penalty for the 199. Huge penalty for that GT4 Pro. But back up to this race lead for the overall leader. These guys just not pulling over for each other. Charlie not willing to give up. He's doing everything he can to keep that race lead, but Luciano just looks a little bit quicker. Here, the 140 came down a little bit more than maybe I originally expected whenever we first saw it. Kind of a weird camera angle to be able to tell for sure, but we'll just have to wait for the stewards to kind of give their decision on that one. Obviously, a couple other decisions have come down in the last couple of moments that are really going to be putting some dampers on a couple of these teams' races.
And several incidents, of course, still under investigation as well, so we'll keep you updated on those as we receive updates. Project Singer Racing Team appears to have had a spin as well. This is the .XLSX driver up in GT3 Pro. The number 34 McLaren got turned in on by one of the Porsches for a GT4. And around they go into the grass, but relatively harmless incident for that one. Might be a little bit scuffed up, but otherwise, all's well ends well. Nilsson, again, reset the fast lap of the race, but quickly overtaken by Patrick Gannon for RPM Racing Black.
And that RPM Racing Black car, that was a little over 2 seconds behind these race leaders just a handful of corners ago. Whoa. One car spun around here.
That's one of the Corvettes. That's Eagle Speed Academy Esports K. Chris Van Gucht has had a moment.
One of the GT3 AM cars.
Oh, wow. There was a lot that happened in there. One of the Mercedes got kicked sideways and then looked like the sister car, the Treehouse Race Machine, just drove into the back of the Corvette.
Yeah, at that point, the Corvette really had nothing they could really do about it. You get driven into the back like that, the back end picks up off the racetrack as you're on the brakes. The rear tires start chattering. There's just about no saving that at that point once the back end of the car gets lifted off the ground. So definitely a tough break. Nothing they could have really done about it. Looked like they were braking in a straight line at a pretty normal braking zone. So unfortunate for the Corvette. Still plenty of time to right the wrongs and get the ship righted. Only 19 minutes into this thing as of now, and still a lot of tight fights throughout the field.
Yeah.
The leader for the TCR class only separated for a second. GT4 AM a second. GT4 Pro a second. So a lot of tight battles still.
And you just watched the battle for 6th place in GT4 AM draw to a close, as well as Almeida Racing Academy with that 20-second time penalty looming over their heads. Fight back against Treehouse Racing with Ryan Cavalier. Now, honestly, if I'm Almeida, at this point you're thinking race management, right? I mean, you want to think long-term in all of this, and I feel like for Almeida, they might want to consider giving up this fight. If you got a 20-second penalty, you don't want to risk another collision and that penalty increasing, right?
Speaking of penalties, Ryan Huff getting another one, but like you said, yeah, absolutely. I'm making sure that I don't touch another car on this on this racetrack if I've got a 20-second time penalty already. Obviously, those 20 seconds not going to put you a lap down to your class leader or anything, but it definitely takes you out of whatever battle you're in. It's going to cost you a ton of position. It's going to cost you, obviously, a ton of time, and just the fact that, obviously you're going to serve it on your pit stop, 20 seconds just sitting there stationary. I mean, what are you... how do your goals change whenever that 20-second penalty hits, I guess, is kind of what I'm thinking, right? You're saying long-term thought process, race management, trying to get yourself back into it. But really, how do your goals change at that point? After that 20-second penalty, are you completely out of it for the race win? Like, is your pace good enough to win the race without the penalty? If it wasn't, are you really just trying to maximize the day? You know, like kind of what's going through your mind whenever you get that 20-second penalty. I don't really know. That's a hefty penalty to get at one of these road course races. Whenever you just don't know if that yellow flag is going to come out to save you at any point. So at 20 seconds, I'd be a little nervous, even only 20 minutes in.
Mark Reynolds goes for a spin, tail of the field. Meanwhile, the battle for 8th place with Empire Racing Cookie Dough just came to a close as Daniel Hall got around Brian Francione for Equipment Geek Racing. That a battle for 8th place in GT3M as it stands. Of course, good to know about these safety car periods, right? They are not random like in other series that we've called in the past, like VSCA, right? They are actually based on incident. So if you get a big enough crash, you could very much get a safety car period. You could go caution-free. We went caution-free in the GT Super Cup, right? So it's one of those things you always got to be keeping an eye on what's going on around you. Pegassi Motorsports Bravo has had a spin and off the road again for a huge ass gold, and Antonio Alvarez back on in the number 37 Corvette gets that thing back rolling. That battle for the GT3 Pro lead and overall race lead is still on.
A lot of little minor incidents over the course of the last couple laps. Kind of makes me think that, you know, what you were talking about with the caution flags may actually end up happening. Just, we need a couple of these moments throughout the field at the exact same time to actually get that yellow flag to fly. But with the way that the faster cars are coming through the slower traffic, I wouldn't be surprised to see it at some point through the race tonight. But up towards the lead for the main, the overall race lead, I should say, RPM Racing Black has been faster than the two in front of them over the course of the last couple laps. All these guys fighting through traffic, and they've got themselves actually into the slipstream of the second place World Racing team. So all of a sudden got a 3-car battle for the overall win.
A very busy opening salvo of laps here this afternoon as it's awesome. Would you believe if I told you that all of the action we've had so far and we're not even 30 minutes in?
No, I'm honestly, I literally had just looked up to the clock before you had said that, and my first thought was, are we really only 24 minutes into this thing? Like, I'm kind of shocked. I feel like we're kind of crawling by at the pace we're going at this point. That clock might be ticking a little slower than what we're used to, but nonetheless, a lot of action, like you said, in the early going. Only 24 minutes in, and we've had no shortage of replays to show here as Brian Francione just losing the back end.
For 9th place in GT3 Pro, Project Sync Racing Team is starting to fall under fire from Sim Party Racing Bravo. Mike Van Ruyten having a bit of a push here down that front straightaway towards turn 1. Of course, the field's still very much packed up with each other. They're not going to be not packed up until we get around to the pit stop window. Of course, the GT4 field actually showing quite a bit of separation. Now, the closest cars in there still only about 1.3 seconds apart. By the way, there has been an appeal for SR Motorsports and that 5-second time penalty. They are currently trying to argue their case, so we'll see if anything comes out of that. Meanwhile, Pegassi Motorsports with a 20-second penalty in the 146.
Those 20-second penalties are just going to be so hard to come back from. I mean, say you take it, or let's say even a yellow flag comes out, and you take the 20-second penalty under yellow, and you got to start at the back of the pack. I don't know, especially if you're a GT3 car, how you're going to come through a 27-car GT3 field to be able to challenge or put yourself back into the top 5. So anything that I see like there for the 146, obviously a GT3 AM, still a ridiculous amount of cars that he's got to come through and to give himself an opportunity at the podium by the end of the night. So just, 20-second time penalty. I'd be trying to do whatever I can on the racetrack to not get one of those.
We're watching the battle for the TCR race lead right now as Sebastian Hove tries to fend off the Honda Civic machine of David Johansson behind. That's Sim Racing Great Phoenix still running in the number 2 spot. These guys have been very evenly matched on pace all night long, and honestly, it's not showing any signs that these guys are going to drop off from that pace anytime soon, right? I mean, they get a good wide look down the first straight. There's the TCR battle for the exiting stage left, and right now they got them pretty good amount of clean track, so if they want to fight it out, now might be a good time to do so.
I mean, if you see any of them get a decent run on each other, I think you'll see them take it. It's just these TCR cars, they don't seem to be the most racy, I would say. They're very similar in pace. Obviously, all these guys in the TCRs, at least the top 5 that we were seeing earlier, and obviously 4th and 5th have fallen off, but still these top 3 that we see under a blanket, obviously just extremely similar in pace, right? I saw in the comments earlier, one commenter had mentioned that the TCRs really don't actually have that much draft. It's just that the drivers that we have in here at the front of this TCR field are all just extremely equivalent in terms of race pace. It wasn't the draft keeping them all close together. It was just the fact that they're all extremely similar in how fast they are, and the top 3 of that class have all stayed with each other. But to your point of being able to make a move, just in a long race like this, it's just so strange. Like if the race leader is making good time and you're pulling away from the rest of the field, you almost don't want to fight. You don't want to bring them all back into it. You don't want to give anybody else an opportunity, especially in the early going. First 30 minutes of this thing, just thinking, hey, let's just ride away off into the sunset. We can sort this self out a little bit later, but we got a battle for third in the GT4s, man.
Yeah,
This pro class, 275 and the 283. Pablo Cabrera, Ken Copeland going at it here, just a handful of seconds off the race lead in this class.
These guys are not showing much fear in getting up close and personal with one another, and you have to think, you gotta still be a little bit wary, especially based on how a good chunk of racing earlier today has gone so far when people have attempted to get close to each other. But I mean, so far they're doing a pretty decent job.
Yeah, no harm, no foul so far. Ken trying to get a better run, driving deeper down into the corner, hitting that apex a little bit earlier. Doesn't get the run off of the corner though. Pablo able to carry the momentum, but Ken in this draft now down the front straightaway. Can he get enough speed on Pablo to actually make a move down into turn number 1 for this 3rd place spot?
Sim Party Racing Bravo is actually just towed to pit road, and not sure what the cause for this would have been to make that tow down to pit road. We'll try to get a look and see if we can find out what happened to that machine. This is I think Van Ruyten had a hardware failure, because they're just gone. And in fact, now Van Ruyten back out onto the racetrack. So yeah, I think they've had a major hardware failure for the number 34.
It looks like it was a internet issue. I'm looking back through the chat log. It looks like he dropped due to packet loss. So it sounds like we've got some internet issues there for Mike Van Ruyten. Our overall race leader just had some contact with the 369, a GT4 AM class car. They're able to keep it going straight and be all right, but a nervy moment there for RPM Racing Red, leading this race. Just about had a huge moment with a GT4.
And that battle for third picking up as well. They're getting around some TCR traffic, and almost a look for Kent Copeland for the wrong stuff, trying to go down the inside of an OC Sports GT4. By the way, status update on that appeal for car 74. It does appear as though that penalty is going to be upheld. It will not be overturned. So the penalty at the moment still stands. That's another 5-second penalty they'll have to serve on their first pit stop of the night. I would say in about 30 minutes or so.
And a 5-second penalty is not too terrible. I'm not gonna, get too bent out of shape over a 5-second penalty. I mean, obviously you're gonna try to appeal it if you feel like you didn't do anything wrong. Don't necessarily blame them for trying, but you're not gonna, cry too bad over a 5-second penalty. It's those 20 seconds that we've been talking about that, are really devastating to a race. I mean, 5 seconds can definitely hurt, but man, that 20, that's what you got to worry about.
Holy
Man, we're
cow.
bump drafting. We're bump drafting down the front straightaway here in Australia. I didn't expect to see that. I would have expected to see a move down to the inside by the end of that straightaway though, but just not thinking that it was worth it coming down to turn 1 there for
well, it's race management,
for the wrong
right?
stuff.
It's race management. Why go for the move when you're right there? When you can try to force them into a mistake?
I mean, if they're gaining ground on the front 2, right? Like if the wrong stuff, if Ken Copeland is thinking, okay, well, we're gaining ground here, running nose to tail on the front 2, let's not fight, then I like it. But I don't think that they are. I think they're losing time for the top 2. So if I'm Copeland, I'm thinking I got to get around this guy as soon as possible to stop the bleeding so that I can stay in contention with Sim Race Sweden and TSRC.
Meanwhile, Brian Fretiane trying to fight his way through these guys. He is a lap ahead of them, right? So he's having a bit of a rough time here trying to get around the lap traffic. He's been caught behind him about a third of a lap now, and he's got to get a move on if he wants to have any chance on really in that, 23-second gap up to Empire Race Cookie Dough and Daniel Hall further up the road. Battle for 13th in GT Pro is also on.
Did you say Did you say, what was that team's name with Cookie Dough in it? Sim Racing Cookie Dough?
Empire Racing Cookie Dough.
Empire Racing Cookie Dough. That's an interesting team name. I want to know where they came up with that.
Well, one of their other sister cars is called Vanilla, so I'm willing to bet it's just bacon ingredients.
I mean, fair enough, I guess. I mean, it's probably better than huge ass black and huge ass gold and huge ass yellow. So I'll give it to them.
Don't diss the color names. It's a good way to tell cars apart.
Whoa! I wasn't dissing the color names. The colors are fine. I don't mind you giving me a color for your car. It's the other two words that I've definitely
That's a valid
said
name.
wrong a couple times. Oh, I love the name. I love it. It's
I
just,
know you do the name.
I have to be careful every time I say it.
Well, the battle for third place in GT4 AM is still going to continue to pick up. Battle for the lead in GCR looking like it might be closing in. And is David Johansson ready for to have another go at it here as the field works their way up and around? As just ahead of them, two GT3 cars. This is the fight for 23rd overall. That's 8th and 16th in AM and Pro respectively that are currently battling it out with one another. Sim Racing Grand Phantom and Empire Racing Cookie Dough. Scrap it out. Remember, they are scored in an overall GT3 championship as well, which is why they are allowed to fight it out if they want to.
And between these two cars, there's 3 championships that they're going for, right? Obviously, the GT3 AM is going for the GT3 AM, GT3 Pro going for the Pro, but then obviously, like you said, the overall championship between the two. Obviously, something that these guys are all going to be working towards the end of the season. So anytime you see two cars. This is the main class lead.
No, second place in the GT3 Pros overall.
They're just trying to get through these slower traffic, and it's been tough. RPM Racing Black has been able to overtake World of Racing here for the second place position in the overall race lead.
Right then, so some excitement picking up in the fight for the GT3 Pro and overall lead of the race. A 10-second penalty be given out to Sim Party Racing Bravo, currently driven by Mike Van Ruyten for his hand in a prior incident. Boy, from bad to worse, right, for a team that just had connection problems and now they are dropped back another 10 seconds. That's just insult to injury.
Yeah, I was about to say that the disconnect is basically I mean, depending on where you're at on the racetrack when it happens, the tow that it takes to get your car back to the pit box can take anywhere from 30 seconds to 4 minutes, I feel like. So you very well could have, gotten 6 to 9 to 12 20-second penalties just off of that, and then all of a sudden, the stewards are stacking another 10-second on top of it. Just a little bit of insult to injury there for Mark Van Ruyten.
David Johansson going for the lead here on Sebastian Hove. He has successfully made the pass. Look at the attempted defense from Hove. Johansson wasn't having it, and the Civic sweeps through around the Hyundai into the lead of the race, and that is where the 423 Sim Racing Grid Phoenix Honda Civic currently remains, with Hove and Polasek both trying to run it back down.
Someone has just spun right in front of your overall leader of Charlie Lund. I thought he was about to get collected in it, but he was just able to squeak by on the inside. But this had to have been a heart in the mouth, heart in the throat moment for Charlie Lund.
Big moment there for Ken Copeland here as he goes for a pretty big slide. There is the race leader right in the tail of the shot as Copeland chasing down the 275 right in front, 4 position, spins around, and your race leader just barely ekes by disaster.
Man, and Copeland had been trying to take that 3rd place position in his class for the last handful of laps. They had started to bleed time to the race leaders in the class for the GT4 Pro.
Good job.
That's tight there for Charlie. Really, really good job. You get on the binders saying, hey, I'll lose a little bit of time here and just protect my race car. I like that from Charlie. Smart move. Only 35 minutes into this thing. Don't need to risk it any more than you already did, but still, hate that for Copland, because he had some pace. He was faster than Enosis in front of him, just couldn't get by, and then that spin's gonna cost him a ton of time there for the wrong stuff.
Over a half hour deep into the race here this afternoon. The battle for fifth. Almeida Racing and Cardin Racing trying to exchange some blows here as Almeida looking to fight his way up and around. At the same time, second place going to kick off. It's David Johansson and Michael Polasek both going to exchange hands. That was for second place, and that has allowed Sebastian Huff to get a 2-second gap. But I think for the first time, really honestly, the first time all race long, that gap for the TCR lead now out by over a second. And look at the Audi trying to fight off a McLaren behind.
Yeah, a lot of tight battling all throughout the field here in this first opening hour. On board with Justin Nature up into fifth gear, trying to stay ahead of a few of these cars, looking off that rear bumper. Nice and tidy line. Still a little bit better exit speed, able to kind of extend that gap back out, hang on to that 9th place spot. Good racing for the back in the pack, even at the front of the GT3 Pro field. It's starting to close back up once again. Sim Racing Black, all of a sudden looking like the main challenger. Sorry, RPM Racing Black looking like the main challenger to their teammate of RPM Racing Red. All of a sudden coming on the front straightaway, they're within 0.4 of a second.
Now, with this being sister cars, don't expect for there to be much of a fight here between Red and Black, right? I'm sure they're both coordinated in similar voice channels, or at least they got teammates jumping back and forth, right? Trying to coordinate, right? How do we want to do this without losing as much time to World of Racing if we were to battle this out? Team orders, a constant when it comes to race action this afternoon, and one of the Corvettes is off. That's Ron Wolf, one of our more familiar beer league competitors, going for a spin.
Anytime I see one of those huge jazz cars going off, I know it's one of the beer league guys, and I get a little upset. Ron Wolf just a little wide through there, actually able to keep it nice and tidy on the racetrack.
Has he even had help
around the slower traffic?
He has. He got hit.
Big time help.
Oh dear, kind of hard to tell from that angle who was really at fault. The BMW could easily have been just as much pinched in as, he ran the Corvette out. A bit hard to tell from that angle, but Pegasus Racing trying to now attack Justin Niger. This is for that battle for 10th. Get around some GT4 traffic.
Well, these guys spreading out, coming down to the corner, just going a little defensive side by side for position as well for some of the slower cars. Now some of these GT3 pros able to get through as we catch another replay, see exactly what happened to Ron Wolf here going around. I think he gave him plenty of room from the first onboard that we saw.
Well, looks to be deceiving.
You're definitely right. It looks like he left plenty of room. I think he left plenty of room there. I think the TCR ended up just washing out a bit on the apex of that corner. But that's kind of one of those things, right? If you're Ron Wolf, you don't want to be stuck behind that slow car through that section of the racetrack. But also, you hate to put yourself on the outside through the center of a corner. You're kind of asking for trouble. I don't think he did anything wrong. Just got put in a tough situation.
Well, David Truck Sire, I imagine, is not too happy with Sim Party Racing Omega right there, as they just kind of got their noses completely chopped entering that latest corner there. Take a ride on board from the back. You're going to see the Mustang go down the inside, and this Corvette, it's going to try to follow through, and it almost ends in disaster. Right here. You're not leaving, you're playing with fire when you're cutting across somebody's nose like that. Slower class or not.
I get what the slower class was going for, right? They had their full car ahead coming down to the braking zone, so you think that that's your corner, but they were a little slow on the exit of the corner beforehand. The faster car was showing their nose the whole time. Personally, only 40 minutes into the race, I probably would have left that space. I would have left that room just because I don't want to tear up my equipment. Don't want to ruin my race, ruin anybody else's. But hey,
holy cow,
you're behind the wheel. All those decisions are made in a split second. And whenever you're in a battle pack like this, all it takes is one split second for there to be a massive, massive wreck.
When you look at the view from the Ben Motorsports Park, high in the sky, as they cut by and lose some ground from the cutting of the GT section of the racetrack, and good grief, I mean, what a shot of how tight of a hornet's nest that was for a minute. It's finally started to kind of space out, but you get a little bit nervous when you get into situations like this. And I know right now, Aubrey Kundal of Empire Race Vanilla is a nervous camper in that McLaren as well.
It's just such a awkward scenario to get yourself into whenever you all of a sudden get a big battle pack like this that's 15, 20 cars of slow cars at the front, fast cars at the back, and we're all just kind of intermixing with each other all throughout it. A lot of the GT3s trying to get through, as some of the TCRs are kind of faltering and falling through the pack, as well as some of the GT4s. Kind of creates some issues, as I think one car was off in the gravel there on the exit of the corner, trying to get themselves back on. Honestly, surprised we haven't seen a bigger incident today, right? We've only seen a couple of like 1 to 2 car incidents.
Battle for 7th and GT4 Pro right now, just changed positions, about 0.7 of a second separating them as well. Going to make their way down the front straightaway, trying to let a bunch of GT3 traffic through, and this GT3 traffic could either cause this battle to really break apart, or it could cause it to close back up. Depends on where they go for the moves on that Aston Martin up in front. And, oh man, a quick course correction for the UJAS Corvette. Goes down the inside of Ryan Cavalier through the corners, and well, this is going to be an opportunity for George Gruber to start to reel the gap back in.
Yeah, a lot of tight fighting throughout this kind of main, I guess I would say the main pack through the middle sector here. 15 cars all kind of scattered single file now as they've kind of sorted it out, and as soon as I say that, we've got 2 cars sideways.
Yep. One of those being Ryan Huff, who already has a penalty hanging over their heads, and it looks like they've just been caught up in yet another incident. Oh man, just ran into one of the touring cars, went hard into the wall.
Yeah, I don't know if they just got on the curving too hard on the right, and it bounced them to the outside there through that corner, kind of what it looked like to me. They just kind of pinched the apex a little too tight. Maybe they got pitched onto it a little bit too hard. Not a lot of room was left there on the apex of that corner.
Oh no, and Sim Racing Party Echo with a meatball flag now to serve. And we got several cars now down to pit road. So pit stop's underway for the GT3 Pros for the first time tonight.
Yeah, we're working to the end of that fuel limit that we've got here, about 45 minutes in the fuel tank.
So Sim Party Racing Echo was already down pit road, and the sounds of the engine just expired while they were idling the car.
Sim Party Racing Delta, though, came down pit road that time, and it looks like a few more drivers deciding to come down pit road and take some tires, get a full tank of fuel, get ready for the second stint. We'll have to wait and see if there's any driver changes coming in.
You see the look down pit road as other drivers start to make their ways up and around. Not a lot of on-track battles as a result of all of these GT3 pit stops taking place, but you can get a good idea of how things are going. There you see both RPM cars very, very back of the shot, making their way down pit road now. So it is game on, very much game on here in pit stop action here this afternoon.
We have the 2 GT3 class leaders on pit road coming down for their service, as Sim Party Racing Delta also deciding to come down for 3rd place. World of Racing, they pitted from 3rd place just a handful of laps ago. Luciano Whitvet stayed in the car, so no driver change at the front of the GT3 field for World of Racing. But for RPM Racing, Jacko Mikola is going to be able to get behind the wheel of the number 1, the car that's been leading this entire race. So driver change for your race leader, and driver change for 2nd place of RPM Racing Black. Richard Cawthraw getting behind the wheel of the number 10.
Richard Cawthron, of course, one of the administrators here for the FTR events, trophi.ai Endurance Series, making his way to the race car here this time around, blending out into traffic. Tell you what, you got to be really careful when you're on pit exit here. You got to be really aware when you're in these cars as well, because look at where that pit line exits, right? Directly onto the racing line. So in pit stops like this, you got to have an extra eye about you, and this is why having a second driver to act as a spotter in this instance is so valuable, because you're not going to see that car until it is ready to blend onto the racing surface.
Yeah, I was about to say, if you're one of the cars on the track, this is whenever you've got to be very, very careful, right? There's a ton of cars down pit road.
You can't see. You just can't see there's a car that's right around here. That's where you would notice, and by then it's almost too late to correct your course.
Yeah, you got to be careful. Like you said, you've got to have one of your second drivers or one of your teammates on the microphone really letting you know. I mean, through this section, a couple of those cars, right? There was like a group of 4 or 5 cars coming down the front straightaway as 3 or 4 were coming out of pit road. Just honestly, I'm surprised we haven't seen any issues so far, and I would be really shocked if we didn't get any through the whole 6 hours. We're gonna have something.
You know how this works. It's a law of nature that it must happen. Now that you've said it.
Yep, it will happen. I'm almost throwing a good old Austin Edstrom guarantee on this one. I mean, just the way that pit road is set up, I'd be shocked.
A battle for 4th and 5th here in GT4M at the moment, as Sim Racing Grid Academy Palladium with Mikko Heikkinen trying to fend off the likes of Chris Zover for Sunday drivers just behind. That position just exchanged hands over the last little while. So these guys are going to keep up a steady fight as, well, now for some of now it's the GT4's turn to come down pit road.
A handful of minutes later, right, the first GT3s came down around 5 hours, 17 minutes left, somewhere around that mark. So 5 minutes later, the GT4s deciding to come down pit road, get their first pit stops out of the way. Still, obviously, another 5 or so times that these guys are going to have to come down pit road. You do want to try to extend it as long as possible. Make sure that your fuel window is pushed as far as you possibly can, so that the last pit stop that you end up taking needs as little fuel as possible. So there's definitely some strategy in it in terms of time loss on pit road, but ultimately here with 5 hours and 12 minutes left, it's just about being nice and steady, nice and safe. Just don't want to throw your race away here with 5 hours left.
So some drivers making their way in and out of pit road. Battle for the lead is on in GT4M. Haven't seen this fight, or sorry, GT4 Pro. Haven't seen this fight kicking off in a good while here. So I mean, this is going to be a pretty good fight if these guys can get much closer. Oh, and they might get any closer there.
God
bless. Jeez, cutting off not one but 2 of the GT3 runners. Again, playing with fire here if you're a GT4 Pro car.
Yeah, that's the GT3 leader in that red and black car that just came through, following behind a car that's about to get lapped in the GT3 field. Man, that 74 is had a couple moments with their previous driver in there now as well, with Daniel Gralti behind the wheel there, getting through that GT4, just a little hairy near the GT3 class leader, but they got it all sorted. Everything ended up being all right with those guys through the last couple of corners. Still hard racing. A couple 4 cars here through the middle sector, all going at it. 2 of these cars going at it for second place in the in the GT3 class. RPM Racing Black, World of Racing going at it about 2.5 seconds off of your race leader.
Well, we've been at it for quite a while, right? So I think what we can do here, we can actually bring in our first interview here of the season. We'll bring up Matthew Green here into the Green Flag TV broadcast booth. Of course, Matt, you are right now the team manager for Sim Party Racing. To say it's been a bit of a journey this first hour would be a little bit of an understatement. Quite a few highs, but some lows as well. Kind of talk us through how things have gone for you.
Well, yeah, so it's been an interesting race because actually I'm also driving in the race, and I think you highlighted it right at the start of the race that we were the first incident. So the race didn't get off to a good start, especially for me. Yeah, we had a 7-minute repair, so we decided to retire the first car. So that was a bit of a painful start. I don't know if you saw, but also there was a couple of other little bits coming out of turn 1 after that on the start as well in the GT4s, with all 3 of our GT4s having incidents at the start, so we all lost places or got damage. So that was quite a depressing way to go. But for the other cars, I mean, we've got one of our Pro GT3s which is running well. The Pro GT3s kind of in no man's land, trying to keep up with the really fast guys, but they are holding their own, keeping pace. The other guys, we've had some incidents with the GT3 taking out our own GT4, which was highlighted on broadcast, and a couple penalties as well for the car that got DC'd as well. But yeah, it's been kind of a learning experience with a lot of traffic issues so far.
Well, the good news is you still got some cars in good position, right? You've got your GT3 car running up in 4th place in GT3 Pro. I know that's one of the big highlights for your team here so far on the afternoon. Strategy-wise, first pit stops have pretty much all but taken place at this point in time. Do you reckon we might be seeing any unique strategies popping up throughout the course of the afternoon for your team, or is it just kind of just take things on the chin and see what happens?
Well, so kind of the benefit is because we're running 3 GT3s, 3 GT4s, is we kind of can play with the strategy if needs be, and maybe use one of our cars as kind of a guinea pig to see how it is. The problem at the moment is traffic, right? That's what's slowing everyone down, and the hope is we'll probably find an opportunity to maybe pit a little bit early, pit a little bit later than some of the cars, competitors, to try and find that gap in the traffic. That's the main thing at the moment. Safety cars look like they're set quite high on the incident count because there seems to be a lot of incidents, so we're kind of not expecting a lot of safety cars based on the fact there was like 5 or 6 cars off and nothing happened. So it's more going to be banking on just genuine consistency, staying out of the wall going forwards, and maybe getting a bit of time on a pit stop due to traffic.
Well, it's race 1 of a very long season. Kind of talk us through the season-wide championship. What's the goals you guys got? So it's kind of, for us, we're here kind of actually as a learning, because this is kind of our second time properly getting into a series like this. The last time we competed in any like private kind of hosted racing was around 2 to 3 years ago. So we're kind of getting our drivers back up to speed with, this kind of competitive racing with all the rule books, etc. Because we've been solely focused on kind of the iRacing special events and etc. So all of us are here kind of to learn. If we can get some good placings and maybe win a race, especially in the AMs, especially in the GT4, we think we probably at some tracks are going to have the pace, to maybe steal a win somewhere, hopefully along the season. I know in Pro GT3 the competition is terrifyingly quick, and the guys I know I think it's Delta team, they may have a chance if a safety car goes and they can just about get a gap and hopefully hold on. But I know the pace of those guys in the RPM cars is genuinely really high. So we're just going to have to hope the strategy works out for those guys. And I know in GT3 AM we're running well. We have had incidents, and maybe hopefully those guys across the season may have a good result. But overall standings, we'll see where we lie kind of mid-season. We're not going to we're not really expecting anything. As much, whatever happens really for us. Maybe next season, once we've got some experience, we can look at really being competitive. All right, sounds like a solid plan to me. Matt, thank you for taking the time to join us, and good luck for the rest of the race.
Thank you.
Matthew Green, team manager for Sim Party Racing, joining us up here on the Green Flag TV broadcast booth. Well, that was all going on. A few penalties have been handed out. There's been, just kind of looking through things here. We have had a 5-second penalty for the 126 Sim Racing goal machine for failing to leave racing room. A warning given out to Empire Racing Vanilla for creating the dangerous situation. They got saved by netcode in that incident. The highlight right now, TSRC Esports' Tom Davidson has actually just overtaken Sim Racing Spin Esports for the GT4 Pro race lead. Austin, that came as a result of pit stops on an undercut strategy that paid off big for them.
Yeah, undercut strategy, driver changes, just a ton of different things comes into play whenever we come down to these pit stops. You just never know who's going to get in the car after the pit cycle and who's going to have the most pace. Obviously, from the driver changes we've seen at the front of the GT3 field, it seems to make a clear difference because RPM Racing Red with Jacko Mikola behind the wheel has stretched his lead out to 4 seconds whenever they couldn't get that over 1.5 seconds before Mikola got in the car. So obviously these driver changes are going to be a huge factor in who ends up bringing home the trophy tonight.
Several drivers still have yet to make moves here this afternoon. Let's take you on board, let you feel the noise as Luciano Whitvogt tries to chase down RPM Racing Black for number 2. We'll be back in a moment. just over the 1 hour mark here in racing action this afternoon. So far, a very, very solid drive for everybody throughout this field. Now looking to the battle for number 11 on the racetrack with Huge Ass Gold, MRCX Quad Dash, and Prismatic Motorsports Athena. This is for 11th in the GT3 Pro field. And what a battle this one is turning out to be.
Seven, 8 cars all in a single file line coming down to turn 1. A lot of these cars fighting each other for positions. Trying to pick up any spot they possibly can. Still a couple different classes shown, or all racing each other throughout the field. Most of these cars through here, GT3s, trying to come through and fight each other for some of these positions. Obviously, some cars in here running for the GT3 AM, some of them running for the GT3 Pro, but at the end of the day, they're all still racing each other for points as well with the combined class, and also Sim Racing Gold, like you were mentioning. They're battling for 9th in class as of now, but they are first in GT3 AM positioning, 9th in the total class, but first for the AM class. Going to be a good point save. They can continue to hold steady in this GT3 AM class like they've been doing. 10-second lead just about for Sim Racing Gold. Really good start to the season for those guys.
Well, we're an hour deep. Let's take this chance, take a rundown of the whole field of racing action here this afternoon. We'll show you who is currently where as we run through your field here this afternoon. So starting, kicking things off for us here this afternoon, it's going to be RPM Racing Red, who currently stands on top of the boards with your GT3 Pro field alongside RPM Racing Black. World of Racing by Samantha Tan Racing sits back in third place here. Then it's Sim Party Racing Delta back in the number 4 spot. Flaming Ford Skin Racing is back in number 5, with Pegasus Sim Racing back in 6th. 7th place overall, you got Huge Ass Blue headed up by Alexander Bueller. Pegasus Racing down in 8th. From there, in 10th, 11th overall, it's 9th and 10th of the class. Project Sig Racing Team and Empire Racing Vanilla to close out the top 10. Huge Ass Gold, MRC by Quad Dash will be 11th and 12th. Prismatic Motorsports Athena just behind them in 13th. 14th place, both Stage 1 Racing alongside Sim Racing Grid Phantom. Then it is SRM Motorsports back in 16th, 1 lap down, along with Sim Party Racing Bravo, who currently heads up the tail of the field in GT3 Pro.
Well, back down to the GT3 AM category. Sim Racing Grid Gold currently your leader by 7 seconds over Eagle Speed Academy Esports. Third place is going to be the 142 of Sim Party Racing Omega. P4 Stage 1 Racing. They're 12 seconds off of the race leader. 5th place going back to Huge Ass Yellow in that number 137. Trying to get those beer league guys up towards the front. Back in 6th place, Empire Racing Cookie Dough, 42 seconds off of the race lead. 7th place, Pegasi Motorsport Bravo. 8th place in the 128, Prismatic Motorsports Minerva. 9th place, Equipment Geek Racing. And then rounding out the 10-car GT3 AM field, we got the 146 for Pegasi Motorsport.
GT4 Pro, it's headed up by TSRC Esports in their number 298 Aston Martin. They're trying to overtake one of the GT4 AM cars right now, so even interclass lap is starting to take place. Sim Race Limited Esports starts in number 2 with an OC Esports GT4 back in 3rd for the time being. The wrong step headed up by Ken Copeland at the moment. Did not go for the driver change on the latest pit stop. They are currently sitting in 4th. 5th place closed out by Treehouse Racing. Carter Racing back in number 6, right behind them in the battle for 5th place in the class. Project Sig Racing Team.XLSX is sitting down in 7th. 8th place holds Almeida Racing Academy. A lot of rough rides for them here this afternoon. They are just hoping for more. Huge Ass White starts down in 9th, and then it's Sim Racing Sweden Esports Red down in 10th, with Torque Freak Racing TeamSpeak closing out the 11-car field. So far, all GT4 Pro cars still on the lead lap.
Coming back down to the GT4 AM class, leading that field, we got WBM White with a 15-second gap over the 337 of Sim Party Racing. And then we're going to go back another 12 seconds to the 388 for Eagle Speed Academy. Esports rounding out the podium. 4th place, Sunday Drivers. They're a full minute off of the race lead with Sim Racing Grid Academy Palladium in the 5th place position. Sim Party Racing Tango in 6th place. QJass Black in 7th. And then Sim Party Racing Echo is the final runner out of the GT4 AM field. They're down on pit road.
Fearsome Far Gray heads up the GCR field with a 0.4 of a second gap over Sim Racing Grid Phoenix. That battle for the lead, looking to kick off once again. WSR Esports back in 3rd, then it's Project Sig Race Team.SQL in 4th. Prismatic Motorsports Solus down in 5th. Project Sig Race Team.Bat in 6th, and then Fun Wheel Drive of John Combs close out the tail of the field. So far, Brett Ake and the Sim Party Racing Echo crew, the lone cars that have DNF'd in racing action here this afternoon. So all of that takes us around to, well, where the racing kicks off in earnest here this afternoon as we run down top to bottom and just in the nick of time because there goes the battle for 11th. Down the inside is the BMW of Jack Wyborn getting around Antonio Alvarez.
A lot of the battles for class leads have kind of evaporated, right?
Save
A lot
for
of
the TCRs.
Yeah, CCRs stand near each other the entire time. The top 2 of those. But man, these other classes have definitely separated themselves. 340 here of Daniel Kubesh, just going a little bit too wide, getting that right rear tire off of the racetrack, looping it. Ultimately, no harm, no foul. Just going to lose, 5-10 seconds of time out on the racetrack. Oh, one car coming way wide there through the last corner, leaving that tire track. One of the TCRs using absolutely all the racetrack. Just getting passed here by one of the GT4 AMs, and man, a lot of cars here through the last sector of the racetrack, all fighting it out.
And again, Eagle Speed Academy slowing up some of the GT3 Pro runners, and you can tell they're getting a little bit frustrated with it, right? I mean, they've been really hounding the back end. They've been making looks left and right. Here's a GT3 AM battle. This is for 3rd place in GT3 AM. Sim Party Racing Omega Stage 1 Racing going side by side into the final couple of corners, and Owen Bull going to head this one out from the UK as he takes off towards turn number 18 on the racetrack. 22nd time penalty, by the way, for Pegassi Motorsports Bravo, and a final warning given to that car as well. That was for an unsafe rejoin and threatening to leave room, not threatening to leave room, failing to leave room. So a final warning being given out to that car as well after they already got a 22nd time penalty. So it's not looking good for the 175.
Man, I wish that whenever I jumped in races, my competitors threatened to leave me room. Typically, it's the exact opposite. So
right.
I would maybe the opposite of the 22nd penalty for leaving too much room. But here, Roxy Gibson and the 128 catching a replay here of Prismatic Motorsports, and just losing the back end, long slide down that straightaway. But again, no harm, no foul, no damage, and I think that they're running up in the top. Sorry, that was the 128, right, for the AM category, so my mistake. They're actually a little bit further back, running the 8th place spot in the GT3 AM class at the moment. An hour and 10 minutes in, so man, we still got a lot of racing left. I feel like we've already been sitting here for 3 hours.
On board with Rachel Concali for Prismatic Motorsports Athena. Now, that Corvette, 2 cars ahead, that is the GT3 AMP car that has been holding these guys up since the drop of the green flag. They have been unable to get around the number 177, and I can imagine these guys are, well, let me get correct. I think Alvarez is going to be furious. This, oh no, and off the road goes Concali. Had to go evasive to avoid running into the back of Antonio Alvarez just up the road. A good job on getting around that, but a lot of time lost. And in case in point, right, I'm sure they're getting frustrated being held up behind the NAM car.
Yeah, I think that's that's a pretty safe bet at this point, right? Obviously, coming down to the last corner, or second to last corner, I should say. All these guys you're just trying to do everything you can on braking to be able to, close into the cars in front. I think Rachel just asked a little bit too much of the car, having the other few in front of her that were checking up just a little bit earlier. But like you said, good job getting out of it without making that any worse, because that very well could have or should have been a whole lot worse for Rachel Connolly.
Battle for second place in your World of Racing and Samantha Tan Racing and RPM Racing Black. Still tight as well, 9.5 seconds down behind the red RPM Racing Mustang. The Fords have been on point today. I mean, no one has been able to hold a candle to these guys. I mean, we take away the class gaps, right, and we look at who the manufacturers are. It paints a picture, at least in GT3 Pro.
Yeah, like you said, the dominance up at the front of the field in the GT3 Pro from the Fords.
Four of the top 5, all Fords.
I mean, that's a pretty heavy statement from the old Ford Mustang. Clearly, that Ford has a little bit more in the tank than some of these other classes. It seems like around the bend.
And here comes first and second place in the TCRs. Now, these two drivers have not been down pit road. This is their first pit stop over an hour into the race, and they are in nose to tail. This is going to be quite the race. See who gets out first. Gray and Hove, they were the first ones in. Now the question is, can they beat David Johansson out? And in fact, Johansson going to get out of the car. They're going to get a driver change going here for Sim Racing Great Phoenix. They're going to put Logan McKenzie in.
Driver change, kind of throwing the strategy all for a loop for these guys on pit road. Still hovering in the air there for 423. But these TCR cars have been putting on a pretty good show at the front of their field. Them coming into pit road an hour and 15 minutes in, just about.
And with the driver change, that settles the battle, because obviously that adds a few seconds on your pit stop. So that'll make it pretty easy for Hove to get out front. But again, Hove's got to make that driver change. So that's time that can be reeled back later in the race if they're not careful.
And it's all about, like, how many do you take, right? You know, if you're taking only one pit stop into the race, you got to imagine you're probably going to do one more at some point, right? I don't think that you're going to want to run 4 hours and 47 minutes straight if you just go for the driver change now. So I think there's probably one more change in there for them by the end of this race, but who knows? Maybe they want to go 5 hours non-stop. I wouldn't, but hey, more power to them. Is Justin Niger getting a 10-second penalty, it seems, for that number 50.
Oh man, and nearly getting caught up in a couple of incidents there as the Audi fights its way through. That was for causing a minor collision for Justin Niger, so a bit of time to make up for them now, and that is no doubt time that will be served in the next pit stop window. If you're just tuning in, welcome to Hour 2 of the FTR Events Trophy.ai Endurance Series and this 6-hour endurance race from the Bend. My name is Nola Rempel alongside Austin Edstrom. We bring you all of racing action from start to finish. Well, not from start to finish. From start to the halfway point here this afternoon, and then Derek Watson and Feniccini will be taking over on the back half of racing action here this afternoon. Taking a look at... Yeah, Feniccini. Taking a look at what's coming up here on Green Flag TV. You got, of course, the Velocity Online Racing Series. That is going to be kicking off in just a couple hours, in fact, at the Magic Mile down at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. And then later tonight, I'll be with Lucas Moody down at Daytona for the SRA New Gen 4 Series. Their season opener kicking off this afternoon as well. And then, Austin, you're back in the booth with us tomorrow as well. The Classic IndyCar Series out at Kentucky as they return from their summer break, and then the Blaze Metals ARCA Series at the Milwaukee Mile, followed by For the Boys Racing League action at Michigan International Speedway on Sunday night. And then, Austin, you're in the booth with me again on Monday night for the cutoff race of the round of 12 for the High Tide Racing League Guardian Premier Series at Iowa. And then Ole Miss Sorrell takes to the Brickyard on Tuesday. All this and more over the next week.
I need to figure out how to fill my weekends, apparently.
Well, you have the weekends, Phil. You're with me.
I gotta fill them with something other than you. I gotta figure something out. We need to get a girlfriend on the dial or something. You know, race cars going around in circles on a video game. The weekend, 3 days in a row. Might be a little much, but hey, it's still not quite to your level, right? You got 42 races in a month that you're broadcasting, so that
44. Get it right.
Holy. Yeah, so you might need to take that lesson harder than I do as the 452's down pit road.
Alis DeVries, a new driver, hopping into the Project Sync Racing Team.SQL TCR, and just now getting back out onto the racetrack as well. And Sim Racing Grid Phoenix with the meatball flag as they are down pit road. Interesting.
We're gonna be seeing some of these other classes come down pit road relatively soon, right? We saw the GT3s come down about 43 minutes, 45 minutes into the start of this race, so I got to think we're going to be seeing some of the GT3s come down in about 10 minutes or so.
So Logan McKenzie, this car has a meatball flag now, and given that he is not here, I am willing to bet he lost connection and has probably slammed into a barrier somewhere.
I don't see where he had left the session. I'm not seeing that.
Well, he's in the pit row now, so I don't know what to tell you.
Oh, well then I'm not.
So something something catastrophic has happened to that race car.
Yeah, I'm just not seeing anything through the text chat. Not seeing any issues. So there had to have been something out on the racetrack that.
Oh, here we go. Let's see if we can dissect. Yeah, hardware failure. That's hardware through. I mean, look at me, tell me that's not hardware failure, right? If you say that's not, then I got a bridge to nowhere to sell you.
There's definitely some internet issues or PC issues with that one.
Really?
Yeah, maybe just minor issues, definitely just minor. Blinking like that's not terrible.
Several of the battles have dropped off over the last little while. One fight that is still very much on is this one here. This is for third place in GT3M. It is Owen Bull and Ivo Linden. They are 3/10 seconds behind 13th place in GT3 Pro. But for now, these two cars wanted to fight it out for in-track position. They just got around one of the GT4s, and they got another one right up the road to get around.
This will be for the podium of GTM. So they're going to be fighting for it pretty heavy, trying to do all they can to get onto it. And actually, the three cars here, second, third, and fourth for the GTM class, all under a blanket. Really only separated by a couple of seconds. Owen Bull doesn't have too much time in front of him to Eagle Suite Academy Esports. So a couple positions on offer for Owen Bull and Ivo Linden. If they can kind of get through these, some of these cars in front of them, right? A couple GT3 Pros kind of mixed in as well. Some slower cars up the road. Can they kind of do better through this traffic and catch up to that second place GT3 AM car just up the road?
Well, the field going to keep on keeping on for the time being. Again, right now, this is one of the few battles on the racetrack. Actually, as I say that, one begins to develop in GT4 on the racetrack. This one for 6th. It's between Sim Racing Grid Academy of Paladin with Iker Azarmendi along with Alexander Hammonds from the Beer League in the Hugh Jas Black machine. Hammonds, of course, have been having some good runs in the Beer League as of late, and now set to battle out here. Got to be careful, though, because you got a sister car right behind you in the GT3 category.
I'm actually surprised to see Hammonds taking part in the AM category. Typically, whenever we see him in the Beer League, he's
in the Pro category.
yeah, exactly. Like, he's typically one of the faster ones in there, so I would have expected him to kind of continue that.
Well, to be fair,
here.
The skill caliber, I think, to do an endurance race is significantly higher. Plus, half the field isn't drunk.
Okay, well, you know what? That's a pretty good argument. I'll give you that. I don't think anybody in here is drinking and driving over the course of 6 hours.
Well, we don't
that
know.
Doesn't sound like a good time
to be
me.
fair, we don't know that, but evidence hasn't shown so far. And Luciano Whitvogt going evasive, nearly ran into the back of Cawthron there.
I guess we don't know it for sure, but I definitely would not be enjoying myself drinking for 6 hours and driving the entire time. That sounds like a little much to me, but hey, everybody's different, I guess. I definitely wouldn't be wanting to do that, but hey, maybe there's a couple of those Beer League guys are giving it a go. Maybe we need to talk to a few of them after and see if any of them made a challenge out of it.
Empire Race Vanilla Still racing with the cute Jazz Gold Corvette right behind him. We just saw getting around one of their sister cars. Spots further down the field. 7/10 between Alvarez and Aubrey Condal. Of course, this just the first race of several for the GT Endurance Series here in their 7th season of competition. Race 2 will be at Mangicourt in France. That'll be on September 13th. October 11th sees us run around to Brands Hatch. It's a jump to Canada on the 1st of November, down to the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal, and then down to Florida, where we'll be racing at the Sebring International Raceway. And then the season is closed out on December 6th in Alabama at the Barber Motorsports Park. 4-hour races for all races on the season, except for the first and last ones, which will be 6. So a pretty long season ahead of us, and plenty of opportunities for drivers to test their mettle.
Olin, should I call that season finale on site?
I'm
pretty close. I'm pretty close to that racetrack.
No kid. I thought I didn't know you were from Alabama.
Yeah. What? You didn't? How did you not know that?
You never. To be fair, I never asked. You never told.
I swear I've said that before, because I've said Roll Tide a couple times and you didn't know what that meant.
Well, yeah, I of course I didn't know. I didn't go look it up afterwards. It's not like I don't know football. You know this.
Hey. Look, I'm just saying. I'm literally an hour away from Barber Motorsport Park, so I can just, take a little hop, skip, and a trip over down yonder. Yeah, exactly.
This penalty on screen coming down about 7 minutes ago. Cardin Racing brought out a 10-second penalty. This is for causing a collision. Tough break for them. And potentially an issue for Prismatic Motorsports Miverna. Never mind. No, they are just coming out of pit road. That's what that was. So, Miverna came down pit road briefly. They are now back out onto the racetrack. And, Sim Racing Grid Phoenix and Logan McKenzie, they have just respawned down in pit road. And it looks like, I don't know, they might be debating to get back out there. Logan McKenzie still behind the wheel of the car. There's nobody that has jumped up there yet.
Got one guy in the chat mentioning that Logan had a hardware failure, disappeared, and got hit. So during that, he ended up also picking up 32 minutes of damage. So
they're out.
Not just the hardware failure that sends them to pit road and makes them tow to where they lose 2 laps from somebody trying to get in the car. No, they have a 30-minute penalty essentially for a hardware failure. So. I feel terrible for those guys because I've definitely been in the same boat. It's not a good feeling, especially whenever it's a team race like this. You absolutely hate to be the guy in the car that is driving around whenever either your PC or your internet just craps the bed, and all of a sudden, your other 2-3 teammates, whatever it may be, that have been working towards this league or towards whatever endurance race you may be doing. They're what they were going for kind of falls on your shoulders, and obviously it's not Logan's fault, right? His internet or his PC or wheel or whatever had an issue, but even in those moments, it's kind of hard to separate yourself from that. You just, you kind of put it all on your shoulders. You feel bad. So hopefully Logan's not doing that because, long season still. Got a few more races to get through. Just definitely frustrating for those guys to see their season opener go up in smokes like that from something that's just way out of their control.
Iker Azermendi with a 10-second time penalty causing a minor collision, so yet more problems for him. 13th to 14th place, still working this one out here as Stage 1 Racing and Sim Racing Grid Phantom are going at it. Meanwhile, Owen Bull and Ivo Linden looking to go side by side. This for third in GT3M, and it's Audi versus Corvette once again. Well, Austin, quite the battle that drivers have been putting up here for us here this afternoon. The fight for 11th just ahead of that battle for third in GT3M is also looking strong. Aubrey Kundal trying to fend off Antonio Alvarez, and we saw Rachel Kakali have to go evasive to avoid Alvarez earlier on. Now, though, no GT3M traffic between Alvarez and his competition in front. They finally managed to get around Chris Van Gucht.
We are coming up on those green flag pit stops, I gotta say, right? Those first ones started for the GT3s about 45 minutes into the race. We're about at that 45-minute mark of the second stint, so I gotta be thinking these GT3 leaders are gonna be coming down pit road within the next 2, 3, 4 circuits around this racetrack.
A few battles picking up around the racetrack here. The fight for 13th currently side by side from the opening salvo of corners here in GT3 Pro as Stage 1 Racing finally pulled the trigger on Daniel Snordeland. And as well as that, you also just saw a big pass being made down in towards turn number 1 by Richard Cockthrow. By Luciano Whitfield. This was not into turn 1, sorry. This was on the approach to the final series of corners, and take a look at the pass for second place here.
He's honestly a ways back at this point. It's got to be a mistake from the car in front to be able to make this move. Obviously, gonna time lapse it a little bit. Fast forward, see exactly whenever he gets up to the back bumper.
Caught by TCR traffic.
Yep. Ends up being a slow car. RPM gets stuck on the outside. World of Racing down to the inside here. 2 right-handed corners back to back, coming back onto the front straightaway. Gonna allow World of Racing to take that second place position back away. And both these cars had, dropped to about 11 seconds off of your race leader. They've got it back down to 9.5. So just through the ebbs and flows of traffic, sometimes it extends, sometimes it comes back down. But through the course of the second stint, Jaakko Mikkola up at the front has been the best. Oh man, one of the huge ass cars going around on the replay. Which one was that was having an issue?
That was Austin Tucker that I believe had gone around. Yeah, the white machine.
So yeah, Mikkola, back to Mikkola up at the front for the GT3 Pro. I mean, he's just been stout through this entire second stint. They had the driver change at the end of their first stint, along with RPM Racing Black, and both of those cars have been quick, but RPM Racing Red has clearly been the class of the field since Mikkola got behind the wheel.
Well, while he's been pulling away, he hasn't been pulling away by as much. He has been getting caught in quite a bit of lap traffic these last couple laps, so the gap has gone down to about 8.9. Now, unfortunately, for WOR x STR, it is not helping the fact that they are being in the midst of a battle with Richard Cawthorn from behind, right? He was no doubt working to try and slow them down to keep them back from the sister car further up the road. So some teamwork at play to try and keep these guys back. I know we've been focusing a lot on the GT3 field lately, but frankly, there's not a lot to talk about in GT4 or touring car fields at the moment. Miles Owens right now, the closest battle in GT4 in general, with Ken Copeland just behind them. And, well, you got Austin Tucker and Attia Salminen for 10th and 11th as well in the category as well, that are actually just being brought down to about 0.3 of a second. So Torque Free Racing, holy cow, they got reeled that in quick. That battle, they were up to a second, not even 30 seconds ago.
Yeah, a lot of these classes have kind of separated themselves. Moved down to the inside though here on the huge ass machine, trying to make it stick. But these cars side by side. The left-handed sweeper, not going to be able to get the move done though through this fast right. Huge ass car is going to have the advantage down on the inside, going to be able to hang on to the position, not give it up. But a lot of these classes have somewhat separated, right? Like the TCRs through the pit stops, they've separated where we don't have that huge battle for the lead. The GT4 Pros, GT4 AMs, all those have definitely separated, so we'll just have to wait and see through the pit stops how they continue to cycle the replay of that battle for second that continued here in the GT3 Pros. RG Bargy there, RPM Black, getting the elbows out, able to take that position back, and then both those cars end up coming down pit road.
So they're both down to the pits. We'll keep tabs on this battle here for the time being as Tucker.
Oh no! Our GT3 race leader just got clobbered. He's spinning out. Jaco
Oh
Mikola
no!
has been absolutely destroyed and just turned off the racetrack. His lead is gone.
Now, he has the lead still, but that's only because he's got cars in pit road. He rejoins right alongside a GT4. How bad is the damage for RPM Racing Red? But this is a critical juncture for these guys.
That was Ryan Chevalier from Treehouse Racing in the GT3s, the GT4s. He just made a big mistake here as he's getting lapped and gets into the side.
Oh my
I mean,
goodness.
He just exited that corner like there wasn't going to be a car on his outside.
That's going to be a penalty for sure. I can guarantee you that. That's only a matter of time.
Oh my
And
gosh.
there it is. That
Yellow
brought out
flag.
a safety car. We've got a safety car on the racetrack now, so the caution is out. Safety car deployed. And this has just changed the equation.
The entire complexion of the race has just changed. Mikola is going to be coming down pit road. Obviously, a lot of these cars are slowing down for the caution flag, so even with Mikola getting wrecked, he had a 10-second lead before the wreck and before the pit stop, so with this safety car, could he still come out in the lead, even after getting spun out?
I wonder if there was maybe even a secondary incident that brought this one out. Just kind of going to get a look through, see if... I don't think there was. I just want to have a peek, make sure there wasn't something else that we missed. But I do believe that would have been the collision there that brought that yellow flag out. And no, sorry, there has been more. Sim Party Racing, Bravo, and TSRC Esports. There it is. That's the safety car crash right there. Something big has happened to TSRC, who is right now the GT4 Pro race leaders.
All of a sudden, the GT4 race leaders are going to have to pit.
They were taken out by RPM.
Holy cow.
Oh, man.
So one RPM car gets taken out from the race lead. The other RPM car takes out another car from the race lead. We get a yellow flag. Everybody is going to be coming down pit road here just about, except for the cars that had just come down pit road. So again, just completely shaking up the running order. And, well, Jaco Mikola did get out of pit road before these guys because they had to slow down for the safety car. So Mikola, even after getting taken out and looking like he was going to lose that race lead, he got all of his service done on pit road and still came out in the race lead of the GT Pro class. So that could not have been a better time to caution.
Talk about a convenient saving break right there. Holy cow.
You can't get any more lucky than that if you're...
but from your own teammate to boot, the sister car, 27 seconds behind you.
Yeah, I mean, you cannot write that. That is so unbelievably lucky for Mikola and the entire RPM Red team. Now, don't get me wrong, the damage wasn't so bad. They didn't lose so much time that they were going to be out of this race, but they were probably not going to be in the race lead. They were going to be a handful of seconds off of the front two, and they would have had to pass it back. Now, off of this caution, they've kept the race lead. They've got that car fixed. They're totally fine. I mean, you seriously could not have asked for a better time caution if you were Mikola and those RPM Red guys.
Several cars take to pit road as a result, and this race has just entered a whole new complexion. We'll be back with more in a moment on Green Flight TV. Stay with us.
For the upcoming right-hander, brake 30 meters later and ease off the pressure.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. both go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series in officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Green Flag TV. Multiple cars down pit road under the first safety car period of season number 7. If you're just tuning in, welcome to the FTR events trophi.ai Endurance Series. My name is Noel Rempel alongside Austin Edstrom. We bring you all of racing action so far this afternoon. An hour and 40 minutes in. And pit road is very much open for the leader. There's quite a few cars coming down pit road once again, including RPM Racing FTR. For the red machine, and they have actually gone for a driver swap. Mikola hopping out of the car. They're going to put Charlie Lund-Nielsen back in to the car under the safety car period.
Yeah, a little interesting for them to give up the lead after they had just come down right after getting spun out. Maybe they still had some damage they had to get repaired. Maybe they just decided, hey, we need to come back down and do the driver change. Maybe that's the only reason they did it. Nonetheless, though, RPM Red giving up a lot of track position here to make this driver change, and I got to think that there had to have been some more damage they were fixing for with how long that they've been stuck down there on pit road.
Well, that's going to put the World of Racing and Samantha Hand Racing number 60 car into the lead of the race, and I'm sure they are not complaining about their position at all for Yeshel Yunus, who is also fresh into that race car. Quite a few teams have actually gone for driver swaps in the safety car. Gene Rubos is in for RPM Racing Black. Alex King Remaining in the car so far, Callan Shepard, first appearance on track in the number 44 BMW. Jonathan Lay for stage 1. Scott Kimbrough for Empire Racing Vanilla. Chris Van Gott stayed in the car so far for GT3 AM. GT4 Pro Ken Copeland still in the car. Parker Doom, though, into the machine for WBM Racing White for GT4 AM. In fact, they're attached to the tail of the field right now. In TCR, Sebastian Hub remains the race leader and also remains in the race car.
So now that the yellow flags come out here, a lot of guys are coming down pit road. Strategies a little bit more mixed. Now the GT4s, I imagine, all came down pit road during this caution period as their window was just about to open. So the GT4s might be a little bit more straightforward. GT3s a little bit more all over the place. Gotta imagine the TCRs all came down. So we probably will only have one more pit stop from the entire field by the time that we hit halfway, unless we get another yellow flag that kind of opens another hole for strategy. But if we run green to halfway, only one more pit stop until then.
Well, lights still remain on aboard the Iverson safety car. Austin, I got a question for you here.
Oh no.
If you had to go to one race or racetrack in Australia, what would it be?
Bathurst.
That's on me. I set the bar too low.
Yeah, I mean, I would really like to go to the Bathurst 1000, but I'm not going to fly all the way to Australia for that. So I'm just going to have to leave that one on the bucket list and never cross it off unless I happen to be over there whenever the race goes on.
Not the 12 hours?
That would be it. I mean, probably not. I like endurance racing, but if I had to go to watch one, like, I don't know, I would like to go to the Rolex 24, but you're only going to watch the race for half the time, then you're going to go do other stuff, you know, just with it being so long. So I don't know, 12 hours is just a long time for me.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, to be fair, the Bathurst 1000, though, that's about usually like a 6, 7, 8 hour affair in most cases.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, so it's not like it's much less, I guess, right? But like,
well, you know how it's described, right? You know, a bunch of Holden and Ford fans come together for a brawl and occasionally a race breaks out.
Well, I don't know. Australia's obviously got some really good tracks. I like the Bend from what we've seen today. This has been honestly really fun to watch. I think that this is a extremely interesting circuit too. Just the flow of the racetrack. I really enjoy it. Enjoy what we've seen so far. But there's just something about Bathurst. I would love to sit up on top of that mountain and watch them go down that crazy twisty, bendy section down the mountain. Just walls on both sides. I don't know. It's the stuff that makes the hair on the back of your neck raise whenever you watch it that I would want to be at the most. And I don't know, going down there on iRacing scares the bejesus out of me. So I would love to see people doing it in real life, really, you know, putting their life on the line and throwing it in there. I just think that it would be a crazy race to go see in person.
About an hour and 15 minutes to go still before the halfway point. Race Control still saying they are going to be a minute still. Evidently, they are still working out some issues here behind the scenes, so that is why we have not returned to green flag racing as of yet. I'm trying to back things up a bit, see if we can maybe get another look at some of what happened here to bring us in some of the dramas that we had coming on up to this, because it got quite intense for a good while there. This was RPM Racing Black being crashed out of the race lead. No, sorry, this was RPM Racing Red being crashed out of the race lead by the Treehouse Racing GT4 at some point just before the safety car period came out. Now, this was not what brought out the safety car, but it definitely had a helping hand in it, and I can tell you right now, they are not going to be happy with all the damage given to the tail end of them. And, of course, this was the look with that Treehouse Racing car.
It's like I never even knew that they were out there.
Yeah.
The way that they were exiting that corner, the way that they were
It is
coming out of it.
a hard spot to go around a lap car, especially when you're going around the outside. So, I mean, to their credit, they honestly may have just misjudged it a little bit. I mean, it's a real possibility.
I mean, I don't know if they ever thought that they were, or ever knew they were out there, is my main thing. Which, again, no malice. It's just a lack of awareness, the way that they came out of the corner. You know, they were nose to nose coming out of the corner whenever they made contact. It's not like it was a super late move from the RPM Racing Red. Just didn't quite notice they were out there. And, you know, I've done that my fair share of times, too. I've stuffed some people in the fence off of turn 4 at plenty of NASCAR tracks just from not realizing they actually had some overlap. So, you know, it happens. Definitely happens. Just a tough break for Mikola.
And this was the incident that brought out the safety car period, as you see one of the Mustangs taking out DSRC. Convenient enough, actually the sister car of RPM Racing Red. That was about 20 seconds after, and the debris littered about, plus the stopped cars, that is what triggered the safety car period here this afternoon. TSRC, by the way, still down pit road as a result, waiting for damage repairs, and it looks like they may very well be done for the day. They did take a couple of pretty hard whacks, so it would not surprise me if we saw them not making a return for the remainder of racing action here this afternoon.
Field gets jumbled up pretty big from the caution period, and obviously all the strategy, I think that's kind of what we're waiting on, maybe just to making sure we got the grid in the right order, making sure everybody's caught up with the pace car, trying to figure out exactly what's going on, and well, we haven't gone back to racing just yet.
Kind of like that lull before the storm, you know? I mean, just everyone's in the midst of trying to just get themselves sorted. Of course, the car situated right behind is 10th place, so I would imagine we're going to be seeing these lap cars getting waved around before the we go back to green flag racing here. I'm sure MRC, Sim Racing Grid, and Project Sync would all appreciate that, as that would allow for them to remain on the lead lap effectively in their class and fight for spots further up the road. And Sim Racing Gold and Stage 1 Racing are pleading for this, because right now they are 3rd and 4th in GT3. Am, do you want to know where his first place is? Just a bit further back in the pace queue behind them. So they need that wave around as well in order for it to not be a 2-horse race in the GT3 M class win.
Yeah, I think we're still trying to figure out some of the discrepancies in the running order there. Just making sure, again, they're just making sure they got everybody right where they need to be. And like you said, make sure the guys that should be on the lead lap are on the lead lap. You don't want all these battles kind of decided off of a weird scoring error off
sure,
a
right.
caution flag. So they're just doing their due diligence, making sure that we've got this running order nice and correct before we get back to racing. You'd hate to see one of these races get decided, you know, with 4 hours remaining off of a yellow flag.
So the holdup for the state of the record, by the way, we would be back to race by now, but it's the nature of how events played out when the safety car period came out. Drivers took emergency services when that yellow came out, and those drivers received over 4-minute-long penalties when they took their standard pit stops as well. So they're trying to sort the running order with all of that. That's why. So there were some unresolved penalties, which is hence why we have this delay. And of course, we are going to be needing to still get another run of wave rounds through as well before we can get back to racing action as well. So we are going to be another, I would probably say, probably a good 2-3 laps still at least before we get this race back to going.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty safe bet. We haven't quite started giving those wave rounds, and they've added another lap onto the caution period here. So definitely some management going around. So we'll just have to kind of work our way around it here.
And hey, better to sort this under caution, right, than try to sort it out when everyone's actively battling and racking up more incidents under green, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. You'd hate another yellow flag to come out and completely throw it for a loop and have to do it all over again too. So just like I said, they're doing their due diligence in the stewarding box. And we just gotta be a little patient. That's all right. Sometimes that's racing at the end of the day. You know, you asked me what my favorite Australian track is or what I would like to go to. What about you? What would you want to go to the most over here down under?
Bathurst.
Okay, yeah. Okay. So your question was definitely too easy then.
Yeah. Hindsight, I should have said, okay, let's do this. Excluding Bathurst, what's your second most favorite to go to?
Well, unfortunately, I don't know too many Aussie tracks.
I think Adelaide would be a good one. Adelaide's usually a pretty exciting ride. I would love to see Adelaide, honestly.
I really don't. I can't pick one off the top of my head. I don't know enough about the Australian races. I need to watch more V8 Supercars. Kind of get myself acclimated more.
Well, if you get YouTube a YouTube membership, you can watch the Supercars live stuff on YouTube. They got like the past 4 or 5 seasons all posted up there with all the feeders here as well. It's how I waste my weekdays. Do you have now I'm even more curious. Are you one of those types of commentators that has like snacks as they go, or do you just go straight through to the end of your shift and call it a day?
I typically have a lot of drinks. I don't really snack on anything during too often. Nah, every now and again, like if I haven't eaten all day and if I'm in a rush or something, then yeah. But nah, most of the time, I got Dr. Pepper or a water or something like that sitting next to me, and that's about all I need.
I got some gummies, some grape tomatoes, and jalapeno Doritos that I've been slowly working my way through. I haven't had. But you see, I woke up at 7 a.m. for this, and now qualifying began just after 8, and it's now 11. So I haven't had breakfast yet. So this is my breakfast right now.
Yeah, it's 1 o'clock for me, and I haven't eaten all day. So I feel you on that. I'm a little hungry. Maybe while they get this sorted, I can go
joys of
to the
endurance.
drive-thru real quick.
I don't think you're gonna have that kind of time.
Order some DoorDash.
Yeah, see now you're talking. I've done that before, right? I've had to produce a 24-hour-long race. The strategy there was right. We're going to order some Pizza Hut, and we're gonna ration that throughout the next 24 hours. Let me tell you what, that room temperature pizza just hits different at 3 in the morning.
Oh God, that doesn't sound good.
Probably not healthy.
Hey, whatever gets the job done.
Well, we got 7 minutes before the halfway point here. We got a good bit before this yellow green flag comes out. Let's go through the running order as they stand for the time being here. You know what? It may as well. We got some time here under this caution period. So far in GT3 Pro, World of Racing and Samantha Tan Racing now up on top of the points boards. The RPM Racing Black just behind them in number 2. Further down the field, you got Alex Marsh King in the 69 entry, still running in that 3rd place spot. Sim Party Racing Delta back and forth. Then it's Stage 1 Racing in 5th, Empire Racing Vanilla in 6th, Huge Ass Blue in 7th, Pegasus Sim Racing in 8th, Prismatic Motorsports Athena situated down in 9th with MRC by Quad Dash in 10th. Sim Racing Great Phantom down in 11th with Project Sync Racing Team down in 12th. SRM Motorsports is in 13th. Huge Ass Gold in 14th. RPM Racing Red with all that damage down in 15th place. Pegasus Sim Racing and Sim Party Racing Bravo, the 2 GT3 Pro cars that are out of the race. Well, one of them is Bravo's actually back out on the racetrack just trying to score some points here this afternoon. That closes out GT3 Pro, the biggest class that we have in the field so far here this afternoon.
Jumping over to GT3 AM, the first Eagle Speed Academy Esports leading the field in the 177. Second place, 117 Empire Racing Cookie Dough up to the 2nd place position. They made up a good handful of spots. Running in 3rd, we got Sim Racing Grid Gold, followed by Stage 1 Racing in the 4th place position. Moving back to 5th place, Equipment Geek Racing, currently running in that P5 position. Dropping outside of the top 5 into 6th place, looking at Prismatic Motorsports Minerva. 7th place, Huge Ass Yellow in the number 137. 8th place, Pegassi Motorsport Bravo in the 175. 9th place in the number 142 entry, Sim Party Racing Omega. And then down in 10th place at the back of the GTM class, we got the 146 entry, Pegassi Motorsport.
From there, GT4 Pro here this afternoon. We'll kick things off with the wrong stuff, headed up by Kent Copeland at the time being. Sim Race Sweden Esports sits down in number 2. Then it's Enosis Esports GT4 down in 3rd. Project Sync Racing Team.XLSX down in 4th. Almeida Racing Academy in 5th. Carter Racing in 6th. Treehouse Racing in 7th. Trophy Racing Teamspeak in 8th, and it's Jazz White in 9th. TSRC Esports in 10th. They just got around Sim Race Sweden Esports Red, who is the lone GT4 Pro car that is currently down and out of the race.
Going back down to the GT4 AM, we got WBM White still leading the field in the number 343. Second place, Sim Party Racing in the 337. Back to 3rd place, still on the podium, Eagle Speed Academy Esports S. 4th place, just off the podium, the 340 of Sim Party Racing Tango. Sunday Drivers sitting back in the 5th place spot, the 369. 6th place is another huge ass machine, this time the black one in the 373. Back to 7th place, Sim Racing Grid Academy Palladium in the number 325. And then 8th place, rounding out the GT4 AM field, Sim Party Racing Echo in the 333.
And then that just leaves your TCR field. It is currently headed up by Fiercely Forward Gray and Sebastian Hove. Then it's WSR Esports in the Honda. Hyundai is all the way back to the field with Project Sync Racing Team.SQL, Prismatic Motorsports, Celis, Fun Wheel Drive, Project Sync Racing Team.BAT, and Sim Racing Grid Phoenix closing out the field. So far, only Phoenix is out of this race. You know, I want to kind of mention something about the Project Sync cars. You know, a lot of guys, they tend to, you know, have colors separate their cars. I like the different file names. That's an interesting take on that kind of system that you don't usually see.
It's a little different, a little interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, one sec.
Well, we potentially, while you're sorting that out, we have got the chance to speak to another driver here that we can bring into the broadcast booth. We'll bring Richard Cothra here into the mix for the RPM Racing crew. Rich, a bit of an extended safety car period here. I know RPM's no doubt feeling the pressure after being taken out of one crash and then, well, being the cause of another to bring out the safety car period. How's this safety car period been as you guys have been trying to just get matters sorted?
Yeah, it's been a confusing one. All the cars that took the emergency service unfortunately got hit with an extra penalty, and I think stewards have deemed it unfair, so they're trying to unpick it, trying to assess their options to work out what's fair. So that's why we unfortunately have this very long caution.
Well, kind of talk us through the race so far. Obviously, for RPM Racing, you guys have been having a pretty good run. You guys have been running on the podium pretty much all race long here, and I know it's a good position to be in, but with the RPM Racing red machine so far down and now a lap down, what's going to be the strategy for the black car to try to make sure you can still walk away with good points?
Yeah, we were kind of playing the role of rear gunner there, not through choice, just because the one car's incredible pace, but it's been a really good race, really good battle with Luciano in the last few laps there as we tried to navigate the traffic, and I don't know, I guess theoretically probably in a straight fight with them. We've changed to our 3rd driver and they've changed their driver, so it'll be interesting to see how this phase of the race plays out, to see if we've got a shot for the win or not.
Overall, has this extended safety car period changed the strategy a bit since it's been about 20-30 minutes of pacing, or is the strategy towards the end here remaining relatively unchanged?
Unchanged at the moment. I don't think we're trying to stretch the field a bit, but it's difficult because we've had the 60 car often right behind us, so it's hard to save in those conditions. So really, we're just playing a basic strategy of just stretching the fuel out as much as we can, and we'll try and work out what's available to us a little bit further into the race, I think.
Well, 4 hours to go here. Still a long way in this one, and plenty of chances to get Red some good points here as well. Wish you the best of luck. Good luck out there when we go green here eventually.
Cheers, mate. Speak to you later.
Richard Cothra, right now, going to be towards the tail of the field, helping get the situation sorted, no doubt, as things go along. Austin, it's always a tough break having one of your cars now off the lead lap. But the good news is the other one is still running in 2nd place. Now they just have to hope that they don't catch a penalty for that other incident. But based on how the hammer's come down so far in other incidents, I wouldn't be surprised if their woes are far from over.
Yeah, you hate to see what happened to RPM Racing Red going a lap down off of the penalty, I believe, that they got through coming down pit road as soon as the caution came out. Penalty that shouldn't have been given. So I'm interested to see if RPM Racing Red gets that wave around to be just on the lead lap, but at the very end of the field. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see whenever they cross the stripe to see if that's been given. Still a couple laps here, probably on the caution, maybe 2 more.
You did see a good number of cars get waved around the IRC pace car. That was by design, as the race control administrators have finally managed to kind of lock down who's all got an extra black flag and who's got one they still need to serve. Those cars have been waved around to bring them back to where they should be after the normal wave around procedures. And they are now catching the tail end of the field. Well, we got 4 hours to go, and the yellow flag is still out here at the Bend Motorsports Park. We'll take another step back, give it back with hopefully the restart in a few.
For the upcoming right-hander, brake 30 meters later and ease off the pressure.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series in officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Green Flag TV. We've got to the looks at several of the drivers that have been pacing around this racetrack, and well, always good to check in with our resident pace car driver. Hard at work, of course, obviously an omnipotent being, travels all the way across the world for races on end and can be in several places at once. He'll be as well transposing a copy of himself over to the New Hampshire Motor Speedway in about 40 minutes or so when the Velocity On Racing IndyCar Series kicks off for racing action once again. And well, do you reckon that pace car driver's having a fun time out there pacing the field of 50 cars around still?
I can guarantee you he wishes he could drop the hard loud pedal a little bit. I imagine he might be getting a little bored running around here 55 mile an hour.
He's running the BMW, right? I mean, like, that car's got some oomph behind it if you give it some go.
Now, he might be on pace for most laps led in the race. Not 100% certain. Might have to double check that. might have to double check on that one, but
of course,
nonetheless, still getting the wave arounds kind of out of the way.
Well, fun enough, we actually know a lot of the performance behind that car, right? I mean, it's the BMW, it's a version of the BMW M2 CS race car that actually is raceable here on iRacing. It made its presence known on Wednesday nights in the beer league when they had they had the BMW pace car out for that one as well. So I know quite a bit about that race car, and I'm sure a few
well, they ran that thing for a whole season, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. They ran it for a whole season. You weren't there for that one. You abandoned me for that.
Yeah, I was. I think I was there. I was there for that one. I think I was.
We have had a crash under caution. No, I am not kidding you. This happened just now. That was a car facing around. We got a bumper lane on the racetrack as well. What in the world happened here? How have you managed to do that? This is 12th place in GT3 Pro.
Was this from the waves, or is this just normal pacing? Somebody messed up?
I don't know. Well, we'll jump back. We'll take a look. He's got one of the GT3 Ams right behind him, and he's got one of the GT4 Pros right ahead. They kind of stack him up here, and the Lamborghini just wasn't paying attention. Ran him over.
It looks like they caught the back of the field, and like you said, the Lamborghini just didn't realize that they had gotten all the way to the back of them.
This is Simon Music, the Sim Racing Grid Gold, number 126. This is 3rd place in GT3M. I mean, I just wasn't paying attention. We barely lifted off the throttle.
And that's even frustrating for Simon too, because they're running 3rd place in the class. Got a good opportunity to get a podium out of this race after the jumble of the running order, and you just tore your front end of your car off.
Well, look at that. I mean, look at how much damage on the front end. That is a race killer. That, on top of all the damage you're going to have for that, I can guarantee you that is going to be an absolutely devastating penalty to deal with later on.
That's a killer.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if we saw at least a lap put on for that one.
Yeah, he's going to get a penalty for hitting somebody under the yellow, and he's got to fix the damage. So, I mean, they're going to be sitting stationary in the pit stall for a good while, fixing that thing and then having to serve the penalty. That's, like you said, that's basically a race ender for the 126. They're going to, if they could, they need to pit under this caution flag, get it fixed, just go to the back, and hope and pray you can get in it, get back in the race from maybe more yellows down the line or something. But that's huge damage to get under a caution period. And obviously they're probably frustrated because, we've been running around under caution for a hot minute here trying to get everything sorted. So they're probably frustrated, like, man, we've been doing this for so long, we could have been racing, but ultimately you gotta be careful here under the caution period. Unfortunately, Sim Racing Grid Gold was just a little not even over aggressive, just, I don't know, not paying enough attention at the moment.
And now the big question is how much damage is on the MRC by Quad Dash, number 49 BMW, right? Because, I mean, they ran right at the back end of it. It doesn't look bad. I'm not even really seeing a whole lot of actual physical damage on there, so they may have been able to get away with that relatively unscathed, which would be just the cherry on top of the cake, right? But, I mean, you still got to be worried, right? Because, I mean, yeah, you don't see damage, That doesn't mean it doesn't exist, though, right? I mean, there could be some kind of like steering damage, or there could be aerodynamic damage. Aero damage in particular is going to be huge, because if there is air damage, he's not going to know about it until we're back to racing.
I think that he'll mostly be fine, right? You mentioned the aero damage. I don't see any issue with the wing, and that's the big thing for these GT3s. I'm more worried about that wing on the back of the car, and ultimately that thing's still up there. Doesn't look like there's any bending in it, any flexing in it. I think he'll end up being okay.
Take another look from above. Want to see kind of where they checked up. There you can see a few cars up the road. They'll be just catching the tail end of the field here as well. Right around here, they all start slowing down. 2, 3, they all get slowed up in time, and the Lamborghini just never does.
Yeah, it's really telling from that angle. Very, very obvious to see. Sucks for the 49. They obviously did nothing wrong, like we've been kind of talking about. Just did everything that they needed to do. Just unfortunately, Lamborghini behind them just wasn't quite paying attention. But again, 40 laps, or sorry, not 40 laps, 40 minutes under the caution flag. You're gonna have some momentary lapses of judgment, I suppose.
We're gonna bring a driver that was supposed to be joining Fettuccini here earlier on, and we'll bring Derek Watson into the booth. Derek, interesting developments, putting it mildly, under the safety car period. I don't think anybody of us were expecting us to get a crash this deep into it, at least.
No, but I thought Austin had a really awesome point, actually. But I think at this point, I mean, we're, 35, maybe 40 minutes deep into a caution. This is... I'm trying to find a better word. I don't have one. It's mind-numbing as a driver, right, at this point. You're going at pace speed. You're zoned out. You're just... It's such a different world. You're probably impatient at this point. You're a little trigger happy to get this thing moving. And those things happen. It's a mental mistake, and it sucks. It's. I know I saw someone ask in the YouTube chat, no, that car does not have any required repairs or meatball, as we call it in iRacing. But it's a simple mental mistake that happens in endurance racing. It's one of the positives and negatives about events with these caution periods, is that we all want them because it helps bunch it back up and make it a race, and it helps make it exciting. But at the same time, I mean, we've now been 40 minutes here at the bend. Obviously, we know there were some technical problems we talked about with the staff earlier, but yeah, I don't know, dude. I don't know. Austin, Austin, I know we've both done endurance racing before in the sim. I mean, and it sounds awesome to have cautions, but if you were stuck behind the car for 40 minutes under a yellow, it'd be a little stir crazy, I think, right?
Yeah, you would definitely get a little frustrated. I mean, like you said, I don't want to put any of the blame on the admins of the league or anything, and I don't think that they've done anything wrong. It's just unfortunate that the cars that pit, as soon as the caution flag came out,
right,
there was something in the code that, for whatever reason, gave them all black flags, and it's completely thrown this for a loop. So it's thrown it to where the admins are now having to do a rush job to make sure everything is as right as it possibly can be. So they've been, they've they've been put into a very weird hole here with the safety car, and I don't think it was their fault. It's just working through the bugs of the caution system that we've got, and after this first race, I think they'll go back to the drawing board, do their due diligence, and make sure that everything is perfectly ready for the next time that we go racing.
The funny thing I thought about earlier as I was watching this happen on the YouTube feed, you made the comment earlier about the early driver swap, and you said, hey, that guy surely can't go 4 hours and 45 minutes on a single driver stint here. Well, with this extended yellow, maybe he can go 4 hours and 45 minutes on a single driver run. Well, probably not, but it's more likely.
If I was running 55 mile an hour for 45 minutes like we've been doing, I would probably request a driver change right now anyway. I would get me out of this daggone car right now.
So I'll tell you this real quick, and then you're going to head out. So I put my head to when we watch these races as a team manager. It's my primary role in endurance racing. I would deny that only because, fuel mileage, my dude. We have burned so little fuel into these last 40 minutes. I am intrigued how long these stints are actually going to be, quote unquote. Obviously, it's mostly under yellow, but I mean, this is going to be an abnormal amount of laps here. Well, actually, here comes some people down pit road.
Well,
I'm kind of surprised.
These are the two drivers
Simon
just
needed
collided under the full.
Oh, okay, this is yeah. Sorry, okay, but I'm thinking in my head like this is incredible fuel mileage for this run. That's a positive and negative as a team manager right now. It's like, hey, cool, we're getting extra fuel, but right now the spreadsheets are on fire, the calculators are burning. You're trying to figure out what's going to happen here, but yeah, I don't know.
Leandro Danielson jumps into the car, so they're going to go for a driver swap. And well, with that, Austin, as I understand, you might have some matters to attend to elsewhere.
Might be correct. I might be having some cancer pains, so
He's got to go through this whole roll tide thing. It's he's got to go have a meeting with HR about this whole roll tide thing. I heard the broadcast.
I'm pulling the cancer. I'm pulling the cancer card on HR. I'm pulling the cancer card. Whoever we got in the HR truck is getting the card handed right to him.
Bold of you to assume we have HR. This is a dictatorship here.
Derek was talking about the HR, so I'm jumping off what Derek said. But yeah,
we have HR here.
Hey, this channel grows every day. We'll surprise no more HR tomorrow. Don't worry about it.
I don't like that. Then I have to be held accountable.
I've enjoyed what I've gotten to watch so far, and what you were talking about, Derek, before I hop off and let y'all call the rest of this as we get ready to go to the green flag. What you were talking about with the fuel mileage. Could any of these guys cut out a pit stop? If this thing runs green to the end, because we've been able to clutch so much during this caution period. So that's a big talking point. Y'all can definitely harp on for the rest of the race and kind of see how the strategy plays out if we don't get another yellow flag. But to be honest, with the everybody running around pacing like this at 55 mile an hour for 50 minutes, I think that we're probably going to get another yellow pretty quick, just from people biting off a little bit more than they can chew after a long caution period.
A request in the chat, by the way, is Austin's going to head out here. The 343 team, not the Halo group, by the way, but the 343 team in this race has said, "Hey, we're good. We can just call the race now." So I'm assuming
they're in the lead of GT4M,
they're in the
so
lead.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, they're the only team thinking that. But yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm sure maybe the wrong stuff wouldn't mind that either. Lead in GT4 Pro.
Right.
Well, Austin, thanks for joining us for these first 2.5 hours thereabouts, and hope you feel better soon, my friend.
Appreciate you guys. Hope y'all have a good rest of the race, and I'm sure these FTR guys are going to put on a heck of a last 3.5 hours here once they get going.
Well, Derek, we are well past the 45-minute mark of this safety car coming out. In fact, I believe we have just surpassed 48 minutes since that safety car came out. It's been a good bit. I know most of our oval racing, you can probably get half a race in for most of our shows by now. As I understand it, VOR kicking off in about half an hour as well.
Yeah, Lucas Moody, Daniel Bouchard over there, but man, at this point, the pace car is going to do a fuel stint if we're not careful here.
I mean, that's happened once or twice. Even on the oval scene, we've had cases where the pace cars run out of fuel, they've had to swap it out.
Yeah, we've seen that a few times in real life, but yeah, look at the schedule up here. VOR, Velocity Online Racing starts here soon, top of the hour. Yourself, Lucas Moody tonight. The SRA, they debut the Gen 4s at Daytona. I'm excited for that. Tomorrow's a triple header. I think it's yourself, Austin, for Classic Indy cars. Myself, I'm there for Blazing Pedals. And then for the boys at Michigan, yourself there alone. So it's an incredible week. We're over 40 shows this week. Most weeks we're 7 nights a week. So we're having a pretty solid run here on Green Flag TV. And tell you what, I mean, it doesn't slow down. Every day we're getting more and more requests for things. It's gotten busy in the past few months here. So excited to see it. Lots of special events upcoming. More endurance racing is on the way. So, I mean, we're going to have lots of stuff to talk about here, but this has been unprecedented. Oh, I think I saw there. Hey, look at that. Nope, no, they're still on. I thought that one camera I thought I saw. I got excited. I got teased. That was it. But, yeah, this is an interesting period. I've been trying to think about this here and how to talk about it. And again, I mean, as a driver, this is the positive, negative cautions. I mean, it's so frustrating right now. And, I mean,
even the pace car driver looks thumbed out at this point.
He does. Yeah, by the way, I saw you guys talk about this, and I don't know that you caught this. Myself and Evan Pasoko called the Brickyard 400 a couple weeks ago, and we created a lure that we're hoping sticks.
Oh, do tell.
This started from the chat, by the way. I did not start this, believe it or not. We have Barney the Flagman. So the chat has decided that every other character in iRacing needs to be a name of a cast or of a character from Barney.
Oh dear.
So we, yeah, right. Now I'm gonna tell you, my Barney lore is not real strong. Just I'll put that out there. I'm a little old for to have Barney lore. But I think we left that night deciding that either the pace car driver's name was either BJ or Riff, because both of those are characters in Barney and Friends apparently. So we kind of decided we're gonna go with it, and we're just gonna like make it lore. And we're gonna pretend it's been lore the whole time, and to see how far we can like make this stick a little bit here. So I was like, dude, you're Mr. E NASCAR. You can put that out in the ether and it'll stick. So we'll see what comes to that. But I was kind of surprised. You guys talking about this car earlier. It looks nice. It's got different lighting on it than normal.
Almost like a police car.
More. I was gonna say that. Yeah, that's what I could think of. It's got like the police car sirens on the top of it. So a pretty cool event here. And I know earlier you guys got a chance to talk with Sim Racing Party. We talked with some of the stewards so far today. I think there's more interviews upcoming. You know, during the preseason race, we had a chance to talk with Prismatic Motorsports and about their team and their mission. And so it's cool. Part of the endurance racing I love is getting to know the teams and their stories, either about why they formed, how they formed, you know, what brings you together, right? It's obviously a love of motorsports, but you know, most teams have your best friends, or you know, you all went to the same university together. You know, we see that here in the States pretty commonly. I mean, heck, Lucas Moody, who's on call in a few minutes for VOR, you know, his college has an esports team focused on iRacing over at Oklahoma University. And then Sky Shrek, one of our commentators, goes to Ball State. They have a sim racing team at their college. So it's kind of always cool to find out, did you meet in college? Did you meet as best friends? Are you co-workers? You know, how did these teams come together? Can always be a pretty fun thing.
I asked Austin if he had a favorite track he would have wanted to go to. The obvious answer was Bathurst. I think that's the same for most people, right? So excluding Bathurst, because it's the obvious answer, right? The Bathurst 1000, the 12 hours, whatever. What would be your next best Australian track you'd like to go to?
I mean, this is a pretty awesome facility. I'm intrigued by tracks that have multiple layouts, as this one does. You know, I know you talked in the very opening of the broadcast. You know, I mean, we're using the international layout, which is 18 corners. But you know, if you look at the track map and you see all the available layouts, I mean, there's so many variants of this course that I think that makes it fun and exciting. There's a couple Australian ovals out there. There's a road course that I'm striking on the name of, and I'm embarrassed for myself right now, that has a pretty cool oval. It's called I'm looking at Google. It's called like the Thunderdome or something. I forget what it's called, but it is pretty cool.
I think you're right, the Thunderdome, yeah.
Yeah, that's what struck me in my head is the Thunderdome, and it's got a pretty awesome corner. So there at the bottom right of your screen, you see the layout we're using, but this is not the whole layout of the track. There's a whole other section, I believe. But the way the track is rotated here, I believe to image left, there's a whole other set of corners out there. I think is where it is.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That, you know, makes it a multiple turn. I want to say like an additional like 12 or 13 turns out there. So yeah, for Australian tracks, I mean, this is fun. The weather would be weird.
Up top, that's where the corners would be.
Okay, yeah, there you go. The weather is kind of weird. It's obviously opposite of what we deal with in the States. So as we're in the middle of summer, it'd be nice to go somewhere right now where it's not, you know, 100 degrees Fahrenheit or 30, 35 degrees Celsius for the rest of the world. So maybe in the 40s, not 40s. 40s about 112, I think. So maybe not that hot, but
oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Updates. They're trying to get back to green. They're getting car 49 back onto the proper lap, which I believe they have just done. So I do believe we should be going green this time.
There you go. Yeah, lights are off on that pace car, so it looks like we're going green here. And this will be interesting. That we talked about how drivers have been impatient and antsy inside the car. Well, I wonder how anxious you're going to be to race. You've been sitting here for 40, you've been some minutes wanting to go racing. So this restart, I know the opening start of the race, we saw some 3, 4, 5 wide racing within the GT3 class. I suspect That's going to happen again.
Well, and here is the other dangerous thing to point out. It's a touring car leading the way. The slowest car class is going to lead us back to green with the GT3 leaders right behind. I
wonder if this causes a rule change in the future, by the way. I'm an IMSA purist, for being an American, where we do the restarts by classes. So this is always difficult for me to watch it this way, but we'll see what happens when this comes up here. This TCR leading the way will be wild to see what happens. And it'll be a bit of a logjam at this point.
Potential problem for Brian Fratiane. Saw him, spin out while scrubbing his tires through turn 1, trying to get some heat into them. And that again, it kind of shows the hazards, right? I mean, pacing so long, those tires are going to be severely underheated coming to the green here.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be cold, possibly brand new tires. I mean, at best, you would almost hope that maybe you didn't take tires and so you have some heat in them from 45 minutes ago. But we'll wait and see here. So, looks like, everyone in the chat's getting hyped up. We're about to go green flag racing for the first time in about 45 minutes. 3.5 hours on the clock here, Nolan. And this has been, I think, a learning lesson for everybody. For race control, for us a little bit, for the drivers. I think there'll be a lot of takeaways from this first race when all is said and done.
Some drivers are floating the idea of potentially a red flag procedure or something like this happens again, so that way drivers can at least get out, take a bio break. We'll see if any discussions come with that. They wanted to test this new procedure during the GT Super Cup, right? And unfortunately, they weren't able to. The race went green all the way through, so I guess it shows, hey, some kinks to work out, but give it time. I'm sure we'll be back up before too long. Gonna work our way down the front straightaway, and well, time to get the party started once again. 3.5 hours to go. After spending over an hour under the safety car, we're back to green. And there's the looks. We're worried about 3 wide, 4 wide, nearly 5 down the front straightaway towards turn 1. And already side by side for the TCR lead down to the turn number 1.
No, there's up at the curb, but all is good. So this
no, they're going to go around.
Submit patience, and we're going to see cars around you. Maybe, no, maybe not. Thought we had more going around than that.
We almost did, but they're able to gather it up.
Oh, watch that bombing one.
Oh, no!
Oh,
off the road, big! And that's one of the GT3 pros that's off. It's the huge-ass Corvette, the number 38 of the Blue Machine, Alex Crawford, a dominant driver that barely is off the road. We got another car going around hard into the wall for one of the Porsches.
One of the prismatic cars, isn't it? Yeah, I think it's one of the prismatic cars, if I remember right. But that move in the corner that caught the huge-ass team, Nolan, that's wild. There's no way that driver should have expected that move to stick. I mean, if you look up dive bomb in the dictionary, it's 3 wide still. I told you this restart was going to be wild, and it's proving to be. There's another car off.
Alex Inune having a slide as well. And several drivers trying to get themselves corrected. There are several black flags as well. And they are going to clear them. So all black flags have just been cleared. But a boatload to look at here on this first
there'll be
back to
There'll
green.
be a bunch of penalties coming, however. Watch a couple of things happening here. So first off, here's one of the huge ass cars, that blue and yellow iconic look. Up ahead, some contact. And all is good so far. There's a bit of a moment here. I think soon after this here. Yep.
Just tracks wide, possibly had some net code involved.
Yeah, you're right. That was a different car that hit him than I thought. I thought it was that car digging on the inside apron that actually slid up, but it was not. Here's the next car. He's just going to slide around on his own. Oh, into the wall hard. That'll be some definite repairs on that car. And there's one more coming here. It's that silver car on the inside.
It was Zinune a bit further up the road, trying to sight them. Akram Zinune, there they go. And it looks like they had help with the touring car.
Yep. And that's what happens in multi-class racing. And you could argue, Nolan, this isn't exactly what I would deem to be the ultimate multi-class racing style track. You know, it has some narrow points, it has some hairpins, it It has some pretty winding corners, and so when you get multi-class racing, especially if you're not going to divide or restart by classes, this is the kind of stuff you're going to face at a track like this.
Battle for the GT4 Pro lead is on. Sim Race with Esports and Miles Owens trying to have a lunge here on the Enosis Esports GT4 machine. Pablo Cabrera wanting to go at it for the lead of the race. And the wrong stuff sitting just behind as well. He's trying to find a way through in a second.
Let's hope things will calm down. What's not going to calm down by this stewarding report. In about 5-10 minutes from now, that channel's going to light up again with more announcements. We'll try and get them all up on the screen for you. But who's going to have what penalties?
Safety car.
How it's going to happen. And safety car's out. Oh, boy.
And I got to be honest, I'm not surprised.
No, I mean, I'm not either. The positive to using this race director software they're using to help with the safety cars is more lenient than just is there a car around. But I mean, we've had 4 or 5, maybe 6 cars around. And there's another one turned around in the grass.
It's kind of a minor incident for that to have been.
And that can't be. There had to be something else. Yeah, if that's the straw that broke the camel's back, then we were pretty close before that happened.
Jumping around, we'll see. Maybe there's something else we missed. And you know what? It could easily have just been a culmination of incidents. So you see one more off the road. Because remember, okay, so this is going to take some explaining here. So bear with me. I'm not a coding genius, but the best that I understand it, the way that the race director sits and works, because this is not a manually thrown caution, right, by race control administrators. This is thrown by a configured bot. It picks up certain amount of what it deems as incident points within a certain time ratings. Now, we're not talking the 1, 2, and 4X's that we see in iRacing. We're like an off track is one, a car stopped off track is something else, a car stopped on track is something else, and that adds up over time. So the more that you get in one short time span, the higher the likelihood is that you get a safety car. And you have to cross a certain threshold. There's so much that happened in such a short span of time. I think that one little spin is what triggered it, because the points weren't dropping off quick enough. I think that's the issue that we ran into here. It's relatively easy to do. It's easy to rack this stuff up and to get a field this big. I'm not terribly surprised by it. I know for some drivers it's frustrating, but that just is how it is. I mean, you could have one really big pile of cause a safety car, or alternatively, you could have 7, 8 different completely unrelated self-swings with no damage, and that could trigger it as well.
Yep. So again, this software is it's been advertised, it works. That is the weird trigger point system, and I don't dislike it, but it is kind of harder to explain at times how it works. Because you're right. The proverbial straw that broke the camel's back, was a minor spin, and so you kind of first scratch your head and you go, really? But then you think about, how many cars we saw spun around, how much contact we saw. Probably a couple cars, I'm guessing, with some prior repairs, and it's just,
Let's
all.
Let's jump back here. Let's look at that whole. We got time, right? Let's look at that whole restart here, because there
hopefully
was
not that much time.
Well, there was a lot that happened here that you just can't unpack when you're under grade.
Yeah. So this is going to be the start here. Of course, we had the TCR up front, and we knew this was going to just create chaos. And look, there's cars digging both ways, or at least out to the track left, now track right. You're 3 wide. This poor TCR, that's like driving a shopping cart in a go-kart race. That's how you feel right there. And then up through the corner. And it's not too far from here before contact starts. You're 3 wide through that corner. Not really were they 3 wide. They were 3 wide on like half the track.
And around they go as they made their way up and around. And then right around here is where it's finally going to fall apart. And yeah, that was netcode. That was bad netcode for World of Racing into the side of the huge ass car. That explains a lot, right? So no malcontent, and probably wouldn't have made contact, but just unfortunate. Then There goes the Porsche hard into the wall, going for a big slide, and lucky that that Porsche didn't back up onto the racing circuit again. And then
on right, off track.
Yeah, then in the midst of all this, Akram Zanune did indeed have a TCR pushing to the side of him. So all of that, and then that one extra self-spin, that's what brought out our yellow flag.
Oh, let's walk through this real quick. Here are the point thresholds in the system so our viewers can kind of get an idea. A stationary car off track is half a point. A stationary car on track is 1.7 points. A reversing car off track is 0.8, like that Porsche we saw. A reversing car on track is at 3 points. Slow car on track is a 1.7. Cars the wrong way is a 3. And then a car with a meatball flag is 6 points. So you add all those points up, and they have a threshold that they've configured in the software where if we meet that threshold within a certain time frame, we're under yellow. When I read all those off, that was like a basketball game score, probably that many threshold points they were at, because that all happened pretty fast there in that moment. Well, I think
the good news is it's not going to take an hour.
I started to say, look at that, the lights are already off. I mean, no, yeah, and obviously the last one took a long time because of the whatever happened, the boo-boo that happened, all the confusion. But I mean, like, no one should have had to a pit here.
Oh, the reason why the last one took so long is because several cars had to take emergency repairs under that safety car, and they did them immediately. That gave a bunch of additional black flags, so race control had to take a long time sorting through what black flags were genuine and which ones had to be cleared. And then after that was sorted, then they had to then get everybody into the right running order. So it was just one thing on top of another.
It was the record caution, and it just kept piling on.
Well, 20 minutes prior to halfway, Mark Reynolds leads the way. Shouldn't have much restart dramas this time with no touring cars starting in front of the field. So we will go green this time. And look to have a good jump towards turn 1. Through turn 18, and underneath the bend. Careful, guys. Haven't gone yet. Don't start accelerating. Green flags back in the air. Racing action resumes, and Sim Racing Grid Phantom and Mark Reynolds trying to get an early lead.
Well, see if we look any more calmer. It looks a little calmer in the turn 1 this time. We're not 3 wide using half the track. Going back through the field they might be, but at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cars all single file already. There's your first bit of double file. Everything looks clean.
All the way back through, a bit of 3 wide there, coming down towards turn 1, but so far, a much more tidy restart this time around.
Yeah, very much more tidy. I don't think I saw any contact so far from what I can see from the camera shots. So compared to last, oh, never mind.
Now it's just one. No risk of a safety car yet. It's just the one, and we got it back on the racetrack. So all's looking good here. Oh, there's another one. That's one of the RPM cars. One of the former podium runners has just gone off.
Yeah, that day has gone from the penthouse to the outhouse currently. I mean, up front earlier, running pretty well. Let's watch what happens here in the replay and see what happens to this RPM car. They're going to get up here.
This is the Pegassi car that
this is the green one first, right?
And then Gene Rubos by himself, it looked like.
He's going to self-spin here and see what's going to happen to him. Up on the curbing, comes okay.
Right there, caught some air, and the back end started to come around on him.
I'll tell you, that one, when I saw that one, I wasn't surprised that was a self-spin, but how much smoke there was for that first car, that green car, I was surprised. There's another one turned around.
And that's going to bring out our third safety car in rapid succession. And this time it's the Prismatic Motorsports Athena Porsche Collective. They were already involved in one big crash. And now the huge-ass GT4 caught up as well. That car's got no steering under it.
I was going to say real quick, and then we'll come back to watching replays. When we were watching those first set of replays there, with how much smoke there was for that green car, Nolan, I was kind of surprised that was a self-spin. Typically, I mean, oval or road, when you see that much smoke in iRacing, it does not imply a self-spin. So I was kind of surprised when that replay popped up of that moment. But here we are working out our third caution, just over 3 hours to go. Let's watch the replay again here. Watch right about the middle of your screen. See those cars leading now at the top of the screen.
Just a really huge dive bomb that was never going to work.
Yeah, never going to work. And it's going to pile in. And then you're going to get slow cars on track. Remember all those points I just read off? Well,
yeah,
could have found about one of each of those in that scene.
Now, the Prismatic Motorsports Athena car just sent that into a different zip code. I'm not sure where they thought they were going to take that run. And just nowhere to go for the touring car that got piled in. That's Project Sync Racing Team .SQL. That's Ayla DeVries that got caught up in that.
Let's watch on board here and see what's going to happen. I mean, I think the key you hit on what was in my mind instinct. That wasn't going to stick. Like, and that's going to be the harder part to justify. It's a piling in there.
Now, there could be an argument made that, hey, yeah, Pegassi turned across the nose, but you could tell where that car was sitting. They were going to make contact regardless. That was inevitable.
Yep, 100%.
Mark Randall's trying to just keep even a scrap of heat in the tires. How much do you reckon the cold tires that we saw to kick things off are just exacerbating the problems we're seeing here?
I'm sure it's some. I don't think it's as much in my mind as you would think. I think that the problems we're seeing is probably more about that first restart we had the TCR, the slower class car in the way. That just made everyone get anxious to get around it, and I think it sort of created a little bit of anxiety. And I think now what's happened to me, heck, we've probably spent most of the last hour plus under caution. This is what you and I see in the oval side all the time when we call the oval leagues, is that drivers get anxious, right? When we get to the end of the race and we have caution after caution, everybody gets anxious. They want to make a move, partially because you want to go racing, partially because you're kind of scared of when the next safety car is going to come out. And so you feel that urge to get out there and make something happen. So I'm sure the cold tires play something. You see all the swerving, trying to get some heat back in the tires. There's been the lifelong debate of iRacing about how much this really works and what it really does for you as far as the tires go. But I don't think it's the tires as much as I think that it's probably a little bit of everything else involved.
You see a lot more of the GT3 cars that are not so much of the GT4 and touring car field, because obviously the higher downforce car you have, the more critical it is that you have that heat in the rubber, right? So every little bit, even if it's minuscule, every little bit helps.
In a minute, at the top, towards the top, we're gonna do yet another commentator swap. We're going to continue the hot tag of commentators. We'll bring in endurance driver Finn Acini, and Finn, just did some endurance racing earlier this weekend, and in the past, many weekends throughout the months he's been doing it. So maybe he'll have a better idea of what these cold tires are doing for us as far as what it's causing. But I think this is more of a driver mentality at this point, as far as I just I want to go fast kind of thing. So yeah, well, here's what's going to happen. If you're watching YouTube, you can watch this streams on YouTube. There are two streams set up. There is hours 1 through 3 and hours 4 through 6. Now, if you're on the hours 1 through 3, the stream should take you to hours 4 through 6 automatically. If it does not, you can head over to Green Flag TV's YouTube channel or head over to the FTR Discord and find the link for the second stream. For a moment, they're both going to be live, so if you want to start making that transition now, we'll put the link in the chat as well for you, so you can have that link in just a moment. But you'll want to make that swap. This stream that you're on currently will end just after the third hour completes here in the race. And so keep in mind of that, but it should link you over automatically to that stream. So go ahead and start clicking those buttons, making things happen. We appreciate you being with us here live on Green Flag TV, the FTR trophi.ai series here, the endurance racing. It's been fun. Unfortunately, the last hour has been marred with safety car, but it was a lot of fun racing up before that. So it's been a good race, Nolan. It's sort of hard to say that right now with all the safety cars, but there's been some good solid racing.
There has been. There was a lot of really good racing in the opening salvo of these laps here, and I'm sure we're going to be getting some great runs coming on up here on the restart as well. I'll be stepping away in about 10 minutes or so. I guess we'll take you through this restart, and then we'll welcome Fennicini to the broadcast booth, and hopefully we're not under safety car number 4 by that time, as the safety car through turn 17. Once again, Mark Reynolds leading the way. And we're going to drive into the front straightaway. And it will be all in the hands of the number 27. Green flag, back in the air, racing action resumes.
The car is already digging to the sides of the track, looking to find an inside edge, an outside edge into the first corner. See 2 wide racing. I don't see any 3 wide yet, but they're working on it.
Down to the inside, there goes Alex King getting around into number 4 on the racetrack. Good run from him. Most of the GT3 field gets through clear. Of course, the GT4s still kind of biting their lips just a little bit here as Inosis trying to hold on for the overall GT4 lead. No immediate changes and no immediate threats to the TCR lead just yet.
Nothing yet. And knock on wood, cross your fingers, whatever superstition you believe in. Pretty clean restart so far. Don't see anything. A bunch of 2 wide racing. That's a bunch of good, hard, clean racing. Nothing, no smoke, no contact, nothing yet so far in this opening lap.
You had to say it. There goes the race leader off the road. Mark Reynolds going way out wide and off the racetrack. He'll rejoin 7th on the racetrack. Take a look. As Reynolds, this will be all by himself to boot. No one was even close to him.
That's been my surprise takeaway for the last 20, maybe 30 minutes. Oh my goodness, just missed a corner there.
Good save though.
Yeah, pretty wild, wide line there. But that's been my surprise the past 20, 30 minutes. And when I wonder, Nolan, I mean, this track, brand new to iRacing this season. In fact, we're now, what, week 9, week 10 of the season. So it's been out for about 2.5 months. But I wonder if the fact that this is a brand new racetrack, that maybe drivers haven't put as many hours they have into a Daytona, a Spa, a Sebring, a Bathurst, insert name here. I wonder if that's why we're seeing some of these single car, spins and wide turns. It's just that lack of familiarity with this course.
Well, we got 8 minutes left to go here, and there he is, RPM Racing Red down pit road, and just bad to worse for them, and a lot of damage on the front end of that car. Have they had a crash?
Not one that we saw live, I don't think.
They clearly have had something, because that damage I do not remember being there. This was the MRC by Quad Dash incident just a moment ago. They had a big slide way off the road. And that car was right into the business. So they've had some kind of an issue somewhere. Maybe they have, and we just didn't, we don't remember because so much has happened over the last little while. But 3 hours, 7 minutes. Out of it, the GT4 Ambulance is on. There goes Eagle Speed Academy trying to retake it from Sim Party Racing.
To the corners of the bend at the track here, they nicknamed the bend, and a good pass on the inside by the green and white car. I think for a lot of drivers, this is a good time here to kind of get your feet back under you, get used to riding the bike again, so to speak. When you've been under caution for an hour plus, you have to kind of probably find that muscle memory again. And so a lot of drivers making some moves here. And yeah, lots of good racing here up through the corners.
Well, the good news is for many guys, once you get a lap or two in, it's like riding the bike. You're not going to forget it again. But, man, this GT4 battle is really picking up. A lot of GT3 drivers trying to work their way through near contact as the wrong stuff. Ken Copeland lead on the door of a McLaren, trying to squeeze underneath the Mercedes of Inosis, who leads the way. And he might get an opening here down the front straightaway towards turn 1.
Yeah, and of course, turn 1, as is most tracks, probably one of your biggest passing opportunities here, I would say. And so you'll see a bunch of drivers really trying to pick up that draft and then swing to the inside or swing to the outside and make that pass here, and here we go.
Well, here we go as this fight going to keep on keeping on. By the way, the 218 machine of Treehouse Racing, a 10-second time penalty for them as they have found the wrath of the stewards for causing an incident.
Yeah, I suspected once things got calmed down with the caution flags, there's going to be a herd of penalties coming in here because of just all the incidents we saw that's caused these past couple of cautions. They're going to have to be reviewed, but the stewards really want to get the safety car taken care of first and then probably worry about the rest of it. So I suspect over the next few minutes we'll have a few more to call off here. Oh boy, I thought he was going to back into him, and then saw he kind of stab the brakes. You could kind of see that car really just kind of almost snap sideways a little bit, probably from how hard he stabbed the brakes. This is Alessandro Penny here, and he's trying to work his way through part of our top class of GT3 Pro.
Right now fighting in 8th spot, trying to get up to 7th. That is the RPM Racing Black Machine that was once leading this race at the head of the field. While all this is going on, you've also still got the battle for the GT4 Pro lead between Pablo Cabrera and Ken Copeland. That is going nowhere anytime soon.
Well, and for RPM Racing Black, you really do feel for them. I mean, anytime you have a story like that where you led for the first long while, and then due to just, you know, the mishaps of the system, and then it piled in from there. You know, they're back here. I mean, they're not out of the race. You know, they're down they're down a few number of spots. They're down 5 spots from where they started. But anything is still possible for those guys. And you see also a battle here, and that's going to be back in our GT4 Pro. This is the battle for the lead. This is the one you were just talking about. And see how close they are, still tied together. One is hoping another makes a mistake, and each can capitalize on whatever they can find here.
Third car in line, by the way, that is the GT4 AM car. Parker Doohan in the WBM white machine that is having a go at it as well. Fight for 4th is also on. This is in the GT3 AM category. And that was the Equipment Geek Racing of Brian Fratiane just getting around David Troskier for Sim Party Racing Omega. At this point, you know, we're near enough that time. We'll bring Fennicini to the broadcast booth as well, who'll be helping Terry take you with us through hours 4 through 6. Fen, it's been an extremely exciting race so far. Bit of an extended safety car period, but now that we're back to racing, I think guys have finally found a rhythm again.
I think they have. Thank you for having me. They definitely have, especially after we've gotten through that second restart. The tires have gotten warmed up. You guys talked about it briefly. I'll touch back on it. I think the tires in the GT3s caught a couple people out, especially with how long they were under safety car. It still cools them down a lot more than even, you know, medium pace racing. So I think that's a big part, along with the anxiety that, like you said, talking about Derek. Tires there are going to be a big part, and I think they've got that rhythm down now. Tires are warmed back up. They can go to that pace that they were feeling before they were sitting in the car for an hour with that safety car.
Yeah, you're right. I think it is both. I think especially as those safety cars stack, it probably more that anxiety grew here, seeing a battle on screen. Well, this is GT3 AM. It's probably worth noting, by the way, that when we say AMs and pros, just like in real life IMSA racing, there is no difference in the car per se. The difference of AMs and pros has to do with the licenses and ratings of the drivers. So it's not unheard of, guys, that we could see, you know, a GT3 AM or a GT4 AM driver, you know, at the top of their respective leaderboards or close to it. You know, there's nothing about that car that's limiting them from doing it. So we'll see how this race turns out here. But a great battle happening here. This is for 7th and 8th in the AM category of GT3s. And I believe that's the car we saw turned around just before one of those safety cars.
Yeah, in fact, it was. And so a great recovery drive for them as they get back into it, moving up a little bit. This is a battle for 5th, and including a lap car.
Specifically 5th in GT3M. Brooks Clayton for the Beer League, a name that Fan, you and I are very much familiar with.
Oh, yes.
And Brian Fratiane going at it, the huge-ass yellow machine on a slow crawl back to the field, trying to regain some of that lost ground while behind. Or sorry, even further up the field. Sim Racing Grid Phantom Mark Reynolds led the way to the green flag. Unfortunately, went off track, dropped back to 6th, trying to beat back Gene Rubos of RPM Racing Black.
Yeah, it's been a good battle since this restart here. And, you know, Finn, I want to get your thoughts. Obviously, as you said, it's a brand new racetrack to iRacing. I mean, kind of a brand new racetrack. I mean, 2008, I think, is when this track opened. So, I mean, in the terms of racetracks, it's still kind of a brand new racetrack. Is this an interesting choice for you to kick off a multi-class endurance season?
It is, but it's one that it's interesting to me that it's like I would not expect a multi-class endurance to go here. You know, in real life, the big, you know, kind of marquee names you see on this include Supercars, MotoGP, a few others as well. So seeing a multi-class endurance race as the opener is one of those things. As the battle for TCR in third involves a BMW GT4 that has been spun off the road.
Wow.
It's Mikko Heikkinen, the Sim Racing Grid Academy Palladium machine. That car has been put through the ringer today, and well, they're going to rack yet one more incident up onto matters here. This is on board the Hyundai that kind of just took him out. I think it kind of just got pinched in, like just 3 went into 1, and it just didn't work.
Yeah, 3 going into 1.
Yeah, it's never going to work, guys. That's wild. We talked earlier about the pace car looking like a police car. Well, some local police departments, you could take some notes from that pit maneuver right there. That was textbook pit maneuver. Maybe not the intention, but boy, he just got to the back bumper and he just looped him on around. But and that's heartbreaking to see that happen.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I wonder if he thought he had the room there and he didn't, or he was getting that pressure from the other TCR that he was alongside trying to get through that corner.
Well, we are over halfway home this afternoon. The battle for 4th carrying on still. I'm going to jump myself back into the producer's chair. We're going to be bringing our Part 1 stream to an end. The link is posted, so you guys can all hop over to Part 2. Watch hours 4 through 6 here on Green Flag TV. Derek Watson and Fettuccini will take you through the end of this race here this afternoon. And, well, guys, have fun.
Oh, there's that iconic flashing of the headlights right there behind you, Jazz, by the way. That didn't take long. I know you and I feel different about the headlight flashing in the daytime, but I get why he does it here. I mean, he's got a whole line of cars